कुठंतरी असं
या ॲपमध्ये कोणाकोणाचे झूम लॉग इन असतील तर त्यांनी कृपया म्यूट करा आणि स्पीकर्स पण बंद करा. स्पीकर्स पण म्यूट करा. ऐक ना, स्पीकर्स पण स्पीकर पण म्हणजे म्यूट, माईक तर म्यूटच आहे, तो झूम मधनं होतो, पण स्पीकर पण बंद करा साईडने आपला. हो चालेल. आहे ना कॅमेरा 0 लेवल आहे ना. ओके ना. हा हात नको लवकर तिकडनं जागा. सर अंकुश
हॅलो, हॉलमध्ये बसलेल्या सर्वांना विनंती आहे की आपण जर इथून लाईव्ह ऑनलाईन असाल तर आपला जो हे व्हिडिओ चालू असला तरी चालेल, पण ऑडिओ जो आहे तो म्यूट करून ठेवा. आपण 7 वाजता म्हणजे बरोबर 5 मिनिटांनी आता ब्रॉडकास्ट करणार आहे आपलं. त्याच्यामुळं सगळ्यांनी तेवढी काळजी घ्यायची आहे. आवाज होणार नाही, कारण एकदा सेशन सुरू झाला तर इकडं तिकडं उठणं किंवा आवाज नकोय आपल्याला. मनोज, 7 वाजता शार्प फ्रँक इस्लाम सर जॉईन झालेले आहेत. म्हणजे जे आपले कीनोट स्पीकर आहेत पहिले ते जॉईन झालेले आहेत. तर कृपया सगळ्यांना विनंती, टेक्निकल टीम, आपण बरोबर 5 मिनिटात आता ब्रॉडकास्ट करणार आहे. हॅलो. आणि पार्टिसिपेंटमध्ये जर तुम्हाला वाटलं कोणाला, वैभव, पार्टिसिपेंटमध्ये तुम्हाला वाटलं कोणी या ठिकाणी त्यांचा व्हिडिओ वगैरे ऑन आहे पण व्यवस्थित नाहीये, खूप हालचाल होते, तर तुम्ही त्यांना डायरेक्टली त्यांचं हे करून टाका. मीटिंगमधनं ते बाहेर पडले तरी चालतील. महेश, आबाईचा फोन आला होता बघ, काय म्हणतो. हे किरण दादा 2 मिनिटं फक्त. तू ती समईचं हे आहे ना प्रपोर्शन तिथं बरोबर आहे का योग्य बघून घे. फोटोला फ्रेमला तुला आडवं येणार नाही ब्रॉडकास्टला गेल्यानंतर. म्हणजे आता महात्मा गांधींच्या स्टॅच्यूच्या काही हे नाहीत ना अडचण? ओके. हा, हो हो हो.
हॅलो हॅलो,
चेक करा माईक.
संदीप दादा,
वैभव, कृपया हे सगळे जॉईन मेंबर आहेत ना, त्यांचं कोणाचाही अनम्यूट झाला तर लक्ष ठेव, फक्त तातडीने म्यूट करायला लागेल. हो. आणि समोर हॉलमध्ये जर समजा साहेबांनी बसले तिथं सोफ्याच्या समोर, इथनं कोणी जाऊ येऊ नये. जायचं असेल तर त्या मागच्या बाजूने जायचं. इकडे समोरून कोणी नाही, कारण तिन्ही मेन कॅमेराज आपले समोर आहेत. मनोज, तुम्ही पण इकडे या किंवा मग इथं समोर. चला, 4 मिनिटं बाकी आहेत आपण ब्रॉडकास्ट करायला. अंकुश खतोडे, तू इकडे बस. हा दरवाजा पण इकडून इकडे बसा पाठीमागे. यस. हा, मोबाईल सायलेंट करा प्लीज, सायलेंट. माझंच करायचं राहिलंय. हॅलो. प्रणिता शिवशरण आहे का आतमध्ये हॉलमध्ये? महेश, प्रणिता. हॅलो. टेक्निकल टीम रेडी आहे तुम्ही? 3 मिनिट बाकी आहेत फक्त. 3 मिनिट्स. शार्प 7 PM ला ब्रॉडकास्ट म्हणजे झूम आउटपुट गेलं पाहिजे. ताई, माईक चेक करून घ्या एकदा तुमचा. सुरू आहे ना माईक?
हॅलो हॅलो.
राहू दे, राहू दे. हॅलो, 2 मिनिट बाकी आहेत फक्त. हॅलो, हॅलो. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
नमस्कार, नमस्ते, सलाम, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, केम छो, नमस्कार, namaskara, vanakkam. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers across the globe. I, Utkarsha Rupavate, your for peace, harmony, progress, being organized by the Jaihind People's Movement in commemoration of the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you from this land of diversity, India. We also commemorate our late Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, today on his birth anniversary. As we begin this virtual global conference, amidst the devastation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic across the length and breadth of this planet, we dedicate this conference in the commemorance of all the brave hearts who have lost their lives to this pandemic. And we salute the spirit of all the frontline workers who are still striving day night to save mankind from a complete wipeout. I also feel it imperative to commemorate all the global champions of human rights: Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Muhammad Yunus, Cesar Chavez, Desmond Tutu, and likes. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, भारतीय संविधानाचे शिल्पकार डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर, मौलाना आझाद, माता जिजाऊ, अहिल्याबाई होळकर, माता सावित्री, फातिमाबी, माता रमाई, ज्यांच्या योगदानामुळे आजही आपण ताठ मानेने जगत आहोत. It is the contribution of these real superheroes that enable us to live our lives with dignity and self-respect even today. The Jaihind People's Movement has initiated this virtual global conference 2020. Jaihind लोक चळवळ आयोजित ह्या जागतिक व्हर्च्युअल परिषदेमध्ये मी आपल्या सगळ्यांचं मनापासून स्वागत करते. शांती, प्रगती आणि एकोपा ह्या मूल्यांसाठी एकत्रित येत असताना मी उत्कर्षा रूपवते आपल्या सगळ्यांचं स्वागत करते. The dignitaries on the dais with us today: Dr. Sudhir Tambe, the founder president of Jaihind People's Movement; Durga Tai Tambe, the president of Sangamner Municipality; Uttamji Jagdhane, senior mentor of the Jaihind People's Movement, and all the dignitaries from across the globe who have joined today with us for this conference. आज 2 ऑक्टोबर हा दिवस जागतिक अहिंसा दिवस म्हणून साजरा केला जातो. महात्मा गांधींची जयंतीचे औचित्य साधून ह्या वैश्विक परिषदेमध्ये येत्या 10 दिवसामध्ये विविध विषयांवर 95 पेक्षा जास्त राष्ट्रीय आणि आंतरराष्ट्रीय ख्यातीचे वक्ते आपल्या समोर येणार आहेत. समाज माध्यमांद्वारा 50,000 पेक्षा जास्त लोकांपर्यंत फेसबुक आणि युट्यूब या माध्यमातून आपण पोहोचत आहोत. या उद्घाटन सत्राच्या सुरुवातीला आपण गांधीजींचं आवडतं भजन वैष्णव जनतो हे ऐकून सुरू करणार आहोत. हे एक वैष्णव जनतो जे भजन आहे हे गायला आहे. I would request my technical team to
वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जे पीर पराए जाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराए जाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराए जाने रे. पर दुखी उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान ना आने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे प्रीत पराई जाने रे. सकल लोक मान सहुने वंदे. सकल लोक मान सहुने वंदे. निंदा ना करे के नीरे. निंदा न करे के नीरे. काच काच मन निश्चल राखे. धन धन जनानी देनी रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे. उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान आने रे. सकळ लोकमा सहुणे वंदे. निंदा न करे के नीरे. जीवा थकिय सत्य न बोले. भर धन नव ज्वले हाथ रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे. वैष्णव जन्नतों
वैष्णव जन्नतों तेरी कहीं जे पीर पराही जानी रे परतुका उपकार करतोय मानविमाननान रे
वनलो बिने kapaterahice kamaklara Ivarare
भाणे नरसायो ठेनो दर्शन करता खुडाई को तेरे कार्या रे
वैष्णव जन को तेरे कहीं जे तेरी बड़ाई
We now move on to the traditional lamp lighting ceremony, a symbolic gesture, a feeling that even a small ray of hope can light up the hearts and minds and lives of thousands of people. I request all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais and those who have joined us globally to please participate in this lamp lighting ceremony. Thank you all the dignitaries on the stage. सर्वप्रथम आपण आपल्या आजच्या पहिल्या भाषणाकडे वळत आहोत. आपल्या ह्या जय हिंद लोक चळवळीचे संस्थापक अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर सुधीर तांबेजी यांना मी विनंती करणार आहे की त्यांनी या जागतिक परिषदेचे आपलं प्रास्ताविकपर भाषण करावं. A qualified surgeon by profession, Dr. Tambe is a member of the Legislative Council of Maharashtra, known for his sheer dedication and social commitment. As a doctor, he has medically saved the lives of many, but as a civic leader, he has made the lives of several youth. Through the expounding work of the Jaihind People's Movement, I request Dr. Tambe to please give his opening remarks.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, dear friends, the alert citizens, dignitaries, civic leaders, experts of various fields are virtually present today for this global conference. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of Jaihind People's Movement. This is the most memorable day for our organization. I would like to welcome all the dignitaries who are present here. Honorary Sam Pitroda ji, Honorary Frank Islam sir, Honorary Claudia Crawford madam, Mr. Balasaheb Thorat, Mr. Thomas Lenke, Joe Webster, Sandeep ji Waslekar, and all other dignitaries who are present on the dais. It is my pleasure to welcome you all, sir. You all readily accepted our invitation and joined this virtual conference. We are indebted to you all. 22 years ago, with aim to build healthy society and healthy democracy, Jaihind the People's Movement run sustained campaigns and active programs, bringing together youth, men and women of all walks of life. Friends, today is 2nd October, Mahatma Gandhi's birth anniversary. The International Non-Violence Day is declared by the United Nations. Mahatma Gandhi, the great soul, has shown us the world a new and unique path, the path of peace and non-violence, the path of truth, the path of tolerance, the path of fearlessness, the path of internal purity and integrity, the path of tolerance, the path of welfare of all, Sarvodaya, unto this last. The ancient Indian culture has shown the same path, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is family. Lord Buddha, Lord Mahavir, Lord Jesus Christ, and Prophet Muhammad showed the same path. There is no place for violence and hatred in any religion. Religion is religion when it unites the people. Religion is not religion when it divides the people. It is very sad that some politicians use religion, nationalism, and culture to divide the people and create hostility. There is nothing wrong in patriotism and love for one's country. Nationalism, which inspires people to love the citizens, all the citizens, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, or language. It is good, rather it is necessary, because it is a step towards the universal fraternity. However, when nationalism is used as a tool for political gain, it is detrimental to the society at national and international level. Ultranationalism is a key foundation for fascism and not compatible with the democracy. Unfortunately, it is spreading fast across the globe in recent time. We divide human in different races and we believe that it is natural. But it is not true. Majority of the anthropologists agree that human first originated in the African continent and migrated to the other continents over millions of years. The geographical conditions therein changed the external characters like color of the skin, hair, and facial features. But friends, under the skin, we all humans are exactly the same. We all are one, and hence we must teach our children this human oneness. Modern human has come into existence due to evolution over a long period. Human brain has developed so much that amazing things like artificial intelligence and cloning are possible today. But human has failed to evolve his mind and spirit. Hence, feelings of hatred and violence are still persistent, making human life miserable. If we turn pages of history, we realize that brutal ambition and hatred led to war, killing millions of innocent people. Now the situation are more alarming as the destructive power of the weapon is so much human being that human being and other living beings will be turned into ashes within no time. Friends, things are getting worse day by day with growing conflicts and sentiments of anarchy and mobocracy. At this crucial time, all the wise men and women, they should get united. They should come forward and they should raise their voice and successfully rally the writers of the humankind to save the humanity. They should speak out boldly. Unfortunately, the ones who spread turbulence in the society, they shout loudly. And they capture the minds and the brains of the people by telling them elusive and deceptive things. Friends, peace and harmony are the most important topics for the world all the time. Nothing is more important than this because divided world and divided nation cannot remain happy and peaceful. Hence, cannot make progress. It is very essential as millions of people are in misery. They do not get enough and nutritious food. They do not get clean water and sanitation facilities. They do not get quality education and proper health services. Quality education and proper health services. Economic inequality is also increasing tremendously. Women folks cannot live safe and honorable life. Youth are frustrated because of growing unemployment, and environment imbalances have crossed alarming limits. Friends, peace is the answer. How to achieve world peace? When we talk about world peace, it appears impossible, a myth, or a crazy idea. But let us look at it this way. World is formed of persons, and when we reduce the idea of peace to individual level, it seems possible. Know thyself. Let us peep deep into our minds. Let us awaken our self-consciousness. Let us awaken our self-awareness and wipe out the negative thoughts. We will start feeling, and when you open your eyes wide open and see the sorrow and pain around you, you start feeling, and once feelings are there, you start acting. And when you act for others, there is peace in your mind. You become peaceful. And this way, if each one of us act for others, the world peace is not far away. The world peace is no more a dream. Another thing that can transform the world is leadership. We need good leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Abraham Lincoln. I feel that there is leadership crisis in the world. The present established leaders cannot take up this challenge, and hence youth should come forward and lead the world with honesty, integrity, courage, and sacrifice. These moral values will make you good leaders. Mahatma Gandhi will show you the path. By leaders, I do not mean only political leaders. I mean the leaders in the religious field who will tell the world the meaning and purpose of the religion. We need leaders in the social and educational field to transform the minds of the people. We need strong, independent international institutes supported by people who can sort out the conflicts, avoid war, and stand firmly for democracy and humanity. Lastly, human is at the center of the world. Whatever good or bad we do, it is for the human. Our humble prayer is that our knowledge, research, economy, efforts, sweat should be there only for well-being and happiness of human being. This global conference is an effort towards connecting people around the globe to promote peace, harmony, and progress. You all staying abroad are capable, intelligent, and hardworking, and you have proved yourself in the advanced nations. Your experience, your knowledge, and your vision will guide us to change the Indian society for better. Let us join hands for this mission. Coming to the end of my speech, I would like to present few lines of the great Marathi poet Vamandada Kaldak. मानसा इथे मी तुझे गीत गावे, असे गीत गावे तुझे हित व्हावे. असे तुझे माझे नाते जुळावे, तुझ्या संकटाशी इथे मी लढावे. तुझ्याच भुकेचे कोडे उलगडावे, तुझे दुःख सारे गळूनी पडावे. एकाने हसावे, लाखोने रडावे, असे विश्व आता इथे नवरावे, असे विश्व आता इथे नवरावे. The poet says that there should not be such a world where few are smiling and millions have tears in their eyes. We don't want such a world. And hence, friend, we should come together. Coming together, I would like to quote Henry Ford's quote, coming together is beginning. We have come together and we are beginning for peace and harmony. Staying together is progress. We shall stay together for the progress of all. And working together is success. We shall work together for humanity, success of humanity over evil forces. Before we part away, I would request you to join us in this global mission. Thank you very much.
खूप खूप धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहेब. आपण खऱ्याच आपल्या छोट्याशा भाषणामध्ये वैश्विक दृष्ट्या जे प्रश्न पूर्ण जगाला भेडसावत आहेत त्याच्यावर आपण प्रकाश टाकला. It is indeed due to your efforts, your vision and your leadership that the Jaihind People's Movement is a global movement today. And we thank you for this initiative. As we move on to our next session, we are indeed honored that His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, has sent his blessings for this global conference. The 13th Dalai Lama, as we see him today, is a personified picture of a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi ji, "My life is my message." Known for his commitment for peace and harmony, the Dalai Lama needs no separate or formal introduction to any of us. We are fortunate that he has sent his good wishes to our conference and has given us the due permission to telecast a speech that he had given on receiving the Mahatma Gandhi Award in Bodh Gaya a few years ago. I would request my technical team to please play the experts from this speech.
Gandhiji, India's, I think, almost 3,000 years tradition of ahimsa. And ahimsa means whenever we face some problem, and try to solve that problem through dialogue with spirit of reconciliation. So, in 20th century, wonderful Indian, Mahatma Gandhiji, with a thorough modern education, lawyer. See, he carried the struggle, not only in India, firstly start in South Africa. Then he carried the India's freedom struggle, strictly non-violent way. Perhaps, I think at that time, some people may consider his non-violent struggle is sign of weakness. But actually not. Recent decades, more and more appreciation about non-violence everywhere. So Gandhi already no longer with us, but his spirit very much alive on this planet. So I'm also just tiny follower of Mahatma Gandhiji's example. So I assure to you, now my age, over 76, but remaining my life, I totally committed non-violence and served as a Buddhist practitioner. Try to serve every sentient being, and then particularly about 7 billion human beings on this planet. I'm one of them, nothing special. Here, I think over 100,000 people. We all, same human being. We all have the potential of negative emotion, negative action, positive emotion, positive actions. So use our human intelligence, deliberately minimize these negative emotion and deliberately try to promote these positive emotion. Through that way, we individual also becoming much happier person. Mental level, happy, peace. Then non-violent action automatically come. Within our own mind, full of fear, full of anger, full of hatred, and the spirit of revenge, impossible to achieve real non-violence. So non-violence is the reflection of inner peace. then also I often use it telling, expressing. In order to achieve genuine non-violence, we need a global level, or we need, firstly, inner disarmament. Through that way, eventually, external disarmament can achieve. Once world become demilitarized planet, then the real peaceful world, then I think achieved. It is possible. Particularly now, this is just the beginning of 21st century. Now 11 years passed, remaining several decades yet to come. I think this is the right time. Make effort with vision to create better world, peaceful world. Whenever we face some problem, must solve through dialogue, through peaceful means, through non-violent way. Everybody have the responsibility. We are part of the humanity. So happier humanity brings sort of, what's it, maximum happiness to oneself. So this is the right time. What's it, individual, think just oneself, forget about other. Even in order to get some temporary benefit, bully other, cheating other, corruption, hypocrisy, is actually ruin one's own mental peace. Remain honest, truthful, transparent. You get maximum benefit. So people should know the real method to get happy life. Not through money, not through power, but through honest, truthful compassion. So these are the basis of non-violence, basis of peace. So I assure to you, remaining my life, I totally committed. So from time to time, I need some kind of, moral support like you. That I need. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Indeed, what His Holiness the Dalai Lama says is correct. The world is in need of the Mahatma's teachings. And that is why we organize this virtual global conference to reassert our faith and belief in the teachings of non-violence and peace. We now turn to our first keynote speaker for this evening. We have with us Honorable Frank Islam, sir, joining us live from the United States of America. I would request my technical team to please take Honorable Frank Islam, sir, on the screen. An entrepreneur, philanthropist, civic leader, a thought leader, special commitment to civic, education, and artistic causes. In all his endeavors, he strives to create opportunities that are sustainable and uplifting for humanity, guided by virtues of hard work, focus, quality, innovation, and kindness. Mr. Islam serves on several boards and councils, advisory bodies, including John F. Kennedy Center, Board of Trustees, U.S. Institute of Peace, Woodrow Wilson Center, and likes. He also serves as an esteemed member of board councils of renowned universities like the Johns Hopkins, American University, George Mason University. Mr. Islam is also involved in several charitable setups. He has several awards to his credit. He has been awarded the Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award for international service in the year 2015. We are extremely fortunate, sir, to have you here with us today. I invite you to give your speech on this august occasion of the World Virtual Global Conference 2020, Coming Together for Peace, Harmony.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello? Good morning.
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you are. Distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. A sense of humility brings us together as a fellow Indian, linked by common goals, common cause, common commitment, and bonded by shared history, shared heritage, and shared background. The lot that unite us, the little that divide us. Our bonds are stronger than the differences that too often drive us apart. Thank you, Karsar, for that kind introduction. You did a fabulous job. I must have you everywhere for my introduction. I'm deeply grateful to all of you for your warm welcome. I want to thank the Jaihind People's Movement, especially Dr. Sudhir Thambi and Ashok Karamar for inviting me to address this virtual global audience today, which happens to be the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you, Dr. Thambi, for your leadership and all you're doing to make a profound difference in people's lives. A number of illustrious political and civil society leaders, humanitarian and Gandhians, are addressing this conference over the next several days, including my dear friend, Sam Pitroda. I am privileged and honored to be among this great lineup of speakers. I applaud the work that Jaihind is doing, especially in Maharashtra, and your mission, which is creating a responsible, learned, and committed citizen, is indeed a noble mission. The building block of a great nation and society is a well-informed citizenry. Informed citizens keep leaders accountable. Citizenry, its meaning and responsibility that comes with it, has been one of the areas that I have been engaged in for close to a decade and a half through my writings and a foundation that my wife, Debbie, and I launched to address an increasing civic engagement deficit around the world, including the United States and India. As someone who believes that it's imperative to prepare the citizenry for the challenges and opportunities of our time, your work is extraordinarily important. I cannot thank you enough for hosting this conference, which is taking place in the backdrop of two grave crises that we are facing. The first one is a health crisis. I'm confident that our scientists will be able to tackle COVID-19 sooner rather than later by developing a vaccine or multiple vaccines. The second crisis we are facing today is the political in nature. It is an increasing deficit in democracy and liberal values, a right wing of demagogue and suppression of human rights and religious freedom in many important parts of the world. The antidote, the vaccine for that, is the teaching of leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and the work that civil society organization like yours is doing. My remarks today will focus on that aspect within the context of the topic of this session, which is Mahatma Gandhi, peace, harmony, and progress. I will share my thoughts with you, not an expert in any of these topics, not as an academic, not as a researcher, but as a civically engaged Indian American business person whose motherland is India, whose homeland is the United States of America. I deeply love both countries and recognize that they're by far the two largest democracies in the world, and the future of these democracies is central to the future democracies and democratic values worldwide, and the vision of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. With that preamble, let me start by focusing on the state of democracy in the world today. Sadly, I must report that the state is not good. In fact, it could be called awful. 2 years ago, Freedom House, a Washington-based organization that conducts research and advocacy on democracy, political freedom, and human rights, declared in its report, Freedom in the World 2018, that democracy was in crisis. For the 12th consecutive year, worker rights and civil liberties declined, and the 70 countries suffered net declines and only 35 registered gains. Things have not gotten any better in the past year. Freedom House report, Freedom in the World 2019, declared that democracy was in retreat, with 68 countries showing net declines. In this 21st century, democracy is descending and autocracy is ascending in countries around the world. In addition to the Freedom House finding, numerous other studies are showing that trend. For example, a Pew Research Center survey last year in 38 countries found, and only quote, a shallow commitment to representative democracy and substantial percentages willing to consider non-democratic options across all of those countries. That's a bit abstract and conceptual. Let me bring it up close and personal by focusing on two countries of my heritage, America and India. The Pew study found that in the United States, 40% of the respondents were fully committed to representative democracy, 46% were less committed, and 7% preferred a non-democratic option. That is not very good, but it is exceptional compared to the findings for India. The Pew study disclosed that of all the countries surveyed support for a strong leader who's unchecked by the judiciary or parliament is the highest in India. Only 8% of the Indian respondents were fully committed to representative democracy, 67% were less committed, and 9% preferred a non-democratic options. As you all know, the India and United States are the world's two largest democracies. Active and engaged citizenship is essential to keep those democracies vital and vibrant and exemplar for democracy worldwide and to fulfill the vision of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. I was awarded the Martin Luther King Award in the United States in 2015. I felt doubly blessed to be given that honor because of the indelible connection between Mahatma Gandhi and King. As Dr. King noted in a radio broadcast during a visit to India in 1959, and I quote, "If this age is to survive, it must follow the way of love and nonviolence that Gandhi so nobly illustrated in his life." Dr. King and Gandhi have been beacons to me in my personal life and charitable and philanthropic involvement I have given to numerous causes to support humanitarian efforts to advance the interests of the underserved in the world. Mahatma Gandhi told us that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Dr. King advised us that every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. I have heard the words of Dr. King and Mr. Gandhi. I'm trying my best to walk in the light and to be the change. I know that is true for all of you in this audience here this morning as well. And I am proud to be partnered with all of you on this sacred mission. It is critically important one because as the novelist and civil rights activist Marian Wright Edelman observed, a lot of people are waiting for Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi to come back, but they're gone. We are it. It's up to us. It's up to you. I agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Wright's responsibility to carry forward the good work of King and Gandhi. It's up to us, it's up to you, and it's up to me. But I do not agree that these two great men are gone. They live on through each and every one of us who are willing to pick up the baton of nonviolence and use it as an instrument for peace and making the world a healthier and better place for all. Now let me share some thoughts on what we can do to working together to build communal peace and harmony. Consider the teaching of Pandit Malavia, the founder of Banaras Hindu University. He was a visionary who saw the world not through religious blinder, but through an expansive view of what a strong and inclusive faith can do to unite rather than divide us. Pandit Malavia instructed, India is not a country of Hindus only, it is a country of the Muslims, the Christians, and Parsis. And the countries can gain strength and develop itself only when the people of India live in mutual goodwill and harmony. Taking a lesson from him in order to create an atmosphere of communal peace and harmony, we need to discover our spiritual common ground. That is because spirituality transcends religious, racial, and regional boundaries. The spirit is the invisible force that brings us together regardless of our particular predisposition. It allows us to look to the heaven and to the God whom we worship, but to look at the earth and the people and the family that we are. There are many actions the members of that family can take to move towards communal peace and harmony. In my opinion, the key actions and actors include a religious leader promoting interfaith dialogue, political leaders promoting a framework for unity, citizen leader promoting communications and collaborations. The religious leaders are in a unique position to build bridges, to break down the barriers, to promote dialogue of understanding, to forge strong bonds among different faiths. They can be accomplished by reinforcing a point: the attack on one religion is attack on all religion. When we attack each other based on people's faith, we are tearing apart the harmonious fabric of India. We need to figure out how to live together, how to work together, how to heal together, and how to redeem the promise of India. The political leaders have the responsibility to ensure that all laws are fair and enforced uniformly. They can take affirmative action to promote an atmosphere of peace and harmony. They need to develop a plan of what can be done to strengthen those bonds that binds all Indians as one family. They need to promote voice for understanding, cooperation, and civility among faith. Citizen leader can lead by example by sponsoring events, investing plans and programs that cut across and eliminate racial, religious, and socioeconomic divides. They can play a vital role in diffusing tensions and helping our youth understand the need for collaborations and communication. They can play a pivotal role by promoting the unique benefits of message of unity by articulating we are stronger together. When we are stronger, when we are together, we can help shape a better future for India. There's much work to do. That work must begin, however, by imagining an atmosphere of communal peace and harmony. Imagining will not make it so, but not imagining will make it impossible. The key to progress is civic engagement. Sometimes when I say civic engagement, people mistakenly think I mean political engagement. I do not. Political engagement is a form of civic engagement, but just one form. Civic engagement, as I view, takes 5 primary forms. Civic individual engagement being the best one can be and personally responsible for one's actions. Organizational engagement contributing to the success of the group, for example, business, religion, associations to which one belongs. Political engagement, participating in those processes to shape the structure and the nature of government. Community engagement, collaborating to make the locale and the world in which we live a better place. Social engagement, advocating for justice and equality of treatment and opportunity, and inclusive economic mobility for all, regardless of caste, creed, religion, race, background, and belief. Let me bring this back to Mahatma Gandhi now. In retrospect, as I look back on my own personal life, on my own civic engagement, I recognize the gift of being from and in India and the struggles that were endured to make this great country a democratic republic. As you all know, Mahatma Gandhi made our citizenship possible. I do not know if Mahatma Gandhi ever used the term civic engagement. I do know that without him, there would be no Republic Day for India. And without his influence and impact on others, the United States and the world would be a far different place. As you know, Mahatma Gandhi's teaching and his approach to civic engagement are centered around peace, love, and nonviolence. In the past few years, radical extremists have countered Mahatma Gandhi and his teaching and his preaching with acts of war, hate, and violence. If they are successful, Republic Day in India and the places around the world that celebrate democracy and diversity will become a distant memory. In traditions of Mahatma Gandhi and his followers who came before us, I firmly believe that you and I, along with others who understand the values of free society, can prevent that apocalyptic vision. This is our responsibility, it's my responsibility, and it is your responsibility. In making your choice of how to fulfill the responsibility, the one piece of advice that I'll give you is not to be timid in making your choices for civic engagement, and have the courage to be a difference maker. In closing, let me leave you with two thoughts, one from Robert F. Kennedy, the president of John F. Kennedy's younger brother, and the other from me. Robert F. Kennedy said, and I quote, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and ask why not." Frank Islam says, "Set no limits. If you can conceive it, you can believe it, you can achieve it." In this 21st century, when democracies around the world are being so tempest-torn, there's a critical need for constructive citizen engagement that changes the current trajectory. I believe those of who you are as a part of Jaihind people's movement, regardless of your education, discipline, or profession, that you have the technical expertise and the moral fortitude to be the leaders in changing that trajectory. Therefore, I call upon you to be difference makers for democracy. As I close this speech, this remark, thank you for listening to and sharing this time with me. May God bless you and all you do to build communal peace and harmony in your home nations and around this troubled world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your extremely profound and valuable views you shared with us today. I would request the technical team to please go ahead and play the video you've shared with us, the receiving ceremony and remarks of Islam, sir, on the receiving of Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the stage our honoree for the Civic Engagement Award, Mr. Frank F. Islam. Thanks. Congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Lawson, for your leadership. Congressman just left. He has to pick up a plane to go to Michigan. Thank you, Congressman, for your leadership, and thank you for your introduction. It is a privilege to receive this award with such other distinguished honorees. I'm most pleased to accept it on the day before Martin Luther King's birthday, the day on which we acknowledge and celebrate not only the birth of Dr. King, but also the birth that he gave to the civil and human rights movement here in the United States and around the world. I feel doubly blessed to be given this honor because of the indelible connection between Dr. King and other famous civil and human rights leaders from my homeland, where I was born, India, Mahatma Gandhi. As Dr. King noted in a radio broadcast when he visited to India in 1959, If this age is to survive, it must follow the way of love and nonviolence that Gandhi so nobly illustrated in his life. Dr. King and Gandhi have been beacons to me in my personal life and charitable and philanthropic involvement. I have given to numerous causes to support humanitarian efforts and to advance the interest of the underserved in the world. I'm on the advisory board and a major contributor to the U.S. Institute of Peace, an organization devoted to the nonviolent prevention and mitigation of deadly conflict around the globe. I also serve on the cabinet of the Woodrow Wilson Center Board, which is dedicated to being the nation's leading institution for in-depth research and dialogue for actionable ideas on global issues. The majority of those ideas are directed at nonviolent solutions to increase human and civil rights. Mahatma Gandhi told us that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. On the other hand, Dr. King advises that every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. I have heard the words of Dr. King and Mr. Gandhi, and I'm trying my best to walk in the light and to be the change. I know that all of you in this audience here this morning as well, and I'm proud to be partnered with you on this sacred mission. It is a critically important one because as a novelist and civil rights activist, Marian Wright Edelman observed, a lot of people are waiting for Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi to come back, but they are gone. We are it. It's up to us. It's up to you. I agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Wright's statement of responsibility to carry forward the good work of Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. So it's up to us, it's up to you, it's up to me to carry his legacy and to carry his ideals. But I do not agree that those great men are gone. They live, and through each and every one of us who are willing to pick up the baton of nonviolence and peace and use it as an instrument for peace and making the world a healthier and better place for all. I'm merely one of the many who have made this commitment, most of whom will never receive public recognition for having done so. Therefore, with all due humility, I'm honored to accept the Martin Luther King Award for International Service for myself and on their behalf. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Islam sir. We really appreciate you coming together for us on this conference and giving us your thoughts on the entire conference idea. We look forward to your support and your guidance in the future for Jaihind People's Movement. Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us. We move on to our next speaker. Sam Pitroda. Mr. Sam Pitroda from USA. I would request my technical team to take Honorable Sam Pitroda, sir, on the screen. Padma Bhushan Sam Pitroda, famously known as Sam Pitroda, the father of IT revolution in India, an entrepreneur, development thinker, and a policy maker. Born to Gujarati parents in Titlagarh, Orissa in 1942, a family that was deeply influenced by the Gandhian philosophy. He completed his education from the Maharaja Sayajirao University, Vadodara. He is known as the pioneer of the telecommunications and the IT revolution in India. Like the white and the green revolution that energized the lives of the common man, the famously known yellow revolution gave telecommunication a new dimension in India. In this era of 4G and 5G mobile connections, we probably underestimate the importance of a yellow coin box. But this move to spread the telecommunication network across the length and breadth of the largely rural India, the yellow box revolution was indeed the baby of Honorable Sam Pitroda ji. He is also credited as the pioneer of the Indian IT revolution as a part he played in the 10 years of his association as an advisor to late Prime Minister Rajiv Ji Gandhi and more recently to ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh Ji. He launched the Center for Development of Telematics and served as an advisor to the PM on several important missions. In his autobiography, Dreaming Big, My Journey to Connect India, Sir has beautifully narrated his experiences. Duly, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 2009. We welcome you to this global conference, sir, and the stage is open for you to share your views with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Chicago. It is indeed a special privilege and honor for me to be here with you to celebrate 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Today also happens to be the birth anniversary of another great leader, Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji. So I'm delighted that we all got together to share our views and thoughts on Gandhi and Gandhian values. Unfortunately, I could not join you earlier because I had another Zoom call with Bahrain. Today is a busy day. I have about 5 such meetings with different parts of the world. I'm delighted to be with you. Pune is one of my favorite cities. And I want to remind all of us today that Mahatma Gandhi is more relevant to the world today than ever before. World today is going through a major crisis, not just because of coronavirus, economic slowdown, but mainly because of rise of populists all over the world. I'm sure some of you have seen the debate between presidential candidates in America. And looking at these two great leaders of a great democracy, you feel that there's a huge void in Gandhian leadership. Values, character. To me, Gandhi means a way of life. I was born in 1942 in British Raj. I remember when Gandhiji died, I was about 5-6 years old. I was sitting outside my house in a small little tribal village. My father walked in and said, Gandhiji has been shot. I was too young to understand the implication. But immediately my mother took us and gave us a bath, as if somebody in the family had died. This is a normal custom in Gujarati family. I grew up in Gandhian way of life. Not because we were Gujaratis, but my parents decided to send us to boarding school, which practice Gandhian philosophy. I went to a small boarding school where Sardar Patel was born in Gujarat, and we learned all about discipline, truth and absolute truth, trust, love for other human beings, celebration of diversity, inclusive understanding, non-violence, bottom-up development, decentralization, democratization, freedom and the power of freedom and need for justice. These are so very fundamental, simple ideas, but difficult to practice in life. Today, we also live in a connected world. For the first time in the human history, we are all connected. Never happened before. To me, connectivity is as powerful as fire. Connectivity is as important as anything that human civilization has ever seen before. And this connectivity is very special. This connectivity is a hyperconnectivity. It connects people from all over the world all together instantly. And this connectivity really is all about democratization, decentralization, and demonetization. And all of these three things were very fundamental to Gandhian thinking. Of course, democratization, we all understand, where everybody is equal. You sort of have space for people to express their views. And this technology and hyperconnectivity also brings openness, accessibility, networking, democratization, decentralization, accountability. And as a result, hyperconnectivity becomes the core, to me, of promoting Gandhian values in the modern world. If Gandhiji would have been alive today, he would use this hyperconnectivity in a very creative way. Then you won't have all these lies on social media. So on one hand, you have this hyperconnectivity. On the other hand, you have rise of populist movements all over the world. In India, in US, in Turkey, in many other parts of the world. Forces have come together to undermine democracy. Institutions are being captured. Hate is being propagated. Divisions are very common. And when you look at Gandhian values, you find that there is a 180 degrees difference in populist thought. When Gandhi talks about truth, they want to propagate lies. When Gandhi talked about trust, there is a lot of mistrust in our society today. Love, there is hate. Inclusion, there is exclusion. Bottom-up development, there is top-down development. And these are very serious issues. And these issues really affect people at the bottom of the economic pyramid, weaker sections of the society, more so than anywhere else. And it is about time that we rise and again have the courage that Gandhiji talked about to stand up for the right values. It's not easy. In a populist wave, it is not very easy to stand up because they become vindictive. Take it personally. Through lies, attack. Start a propaganda. Use money power to get after you. File court cases. Give all kinds of allegations. And that is the time to remember Gandhi. Gandhi to me is a thought. Gandhi to me is an idea. Gandhi to me is a way of life. Gandhi was beyond an individual. It was a spirit. And it can only come from within. Gandhi cannot come from outside. Gandhi is not about talking about good ideas. Gandhi is about living Gandhian way. Simplicity is not very easy, believe me. Very few people can handle success because the desire to sow success is so very large. To live a simple life is very complex. To come up with a simple idea is very complex. And when you look around today, you see that Gandhi also talked about the fact that there are only two important things in life. One is planet, and two, people. Planet doesn't need us, but we need planet. So our first priority, according to Gandhian thought, has to be to take care of our planet. Global warming, environment, pollution, our ocean, our animals, our insects. Look at what has happened during COVID-19. One little virus from nowhere can put entire world to halt. And then we begin to rethink through our purpose, our goal, our methods. And Gandhi always talked about connectivity with nature. It is very important to be connected to our nature, give space to others, other life forms, and not take over world as if we are the only one who have right to live in this world. As we begin to take over space from animals, virus will continue to attack us because there has to be a balance. So our first priority, according to Gandhian thought, has to be to take care of our planet. And the second priority is to take care of our people, irrespective of their race, religion, color, caste, profession, income, education. I think we tend to divide people by compartmentalizing them. And as soon as we find somebody, we want to put them in a box. It's like, is he rich or poor? Is he old or young? Is he male or female? Is he black or white? Is it brown or yellow? And I think this mindset of dissecting people creates all the conflicts. If you look at all the wars in the world, it is all about exclusion. People fought because they were not included. Inclusion brings peace and prosperity for everybody. Exclusion creates conflict and violence. And these are very fundamental issues that people don't understand. People, maybe they understand, they don't want to accept it. So people say, okay, you are this religion, I'm that religion, and we are different. Gandhi talked about diversity. How lucky we are to have the kind of diversity we have in the world. Diversity in our nature, diversity in our people, diversity in our language, food, music, culture. How boring life would be if we were all of the same type. We are lucky to be different, and we must learn to explore each other. I can see entire life spent in exploring people, in understanding them. To me, that's a great journey. Then accumulating money. If I have to accumulate something, I would like to accumulate experiences in learning to know other people. That is so very rich that no amount of money can compare the value I can create out of learning others. So Gandhi today definitely means different things to different people. There are some who even talk about hating him, and I feel sorry for them and their intelligence and their intellectual. Gandhi is an idea. You take what you want to take from him. He's an ocean full of ideas. You pick the right things and you go within yourself to examine what can be done to improve your life, your family's life, your community life. Gandhi also talked about community. Communities make things happen. No governments can do what communities can do. No policies can change local conditions if people in the community are not willing to change. So all of these ideas put together gives us an opportunity today to rethink, to go inside each one of us at the time of Corona crisis and see how we want to come back. Do we want to go back to what it was? Or we really want to redesign ourselves? I'm just finishing a book on redesigning the world. Now that's a big idea. Because I believe world was last designed after World War II by US predominantly, which gave birth to UN, World Bank, IMF, NATO, WTO, GDP, GNP, per capita income, balance of payment, trade deficit. And that idea was based on democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. That design worked well for 75 years. Because in 75 years, we haven't created any new institution. 75 years down the road with hyperconnectivity, that design is obsolete. It doesn't work anymore. But we are not looking at a new grand design for the next 75 years, but we are trying to fix something which is not fixable. And that's what Gandhi's message is. Gandhi's message is change, and change from within. And I think we are at a point today in the human history that we need mega change. And for mega change, we need to change from within. I believe this is the greatest opportunity for mankind to really look inside to see how we can bring Gandhi back to the mainstream of thought to change this world. Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate being with you. Frank Islam is a good friend of mine. Good to hear him and nice to have him with all of us. I know he's a busy man, especially now with US elections around the corner. So I'm glad he could give us some time. Mr. Thorat is there and so many other distinguished people are there. I don't want to spend time naming everybody because it will take another 10 minutes, but really delighted to be with you. And thank you for the opportunity. Sachin, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are indeed in great pleasure that you have been able to give time and make time for this conference and come and share your views and thoughts with us. I feel most of us listening to this conference through you are actually feeling that we are seeing some kind of a mirror, and you're mirroring the thoughts that all of us associated with this Jaihind movement feel deep inside us. Thank you for your guidance and your support.
We need to do something,
Thank you very
but we
much.
want to do something.
With this, we move ahead to our next keynote speaker. We have with us Sandeep Vaslekarji, live from India, a thought leader on conflict resolution and global future. He is the president of Strategic Foresight Group and has authored 3 books on governance and self-research reports on managing future challenges. I would request Sandeep Vaslekarji to please give his keynote speech.
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
You.
Well, I would like to thank Dr. Tambe for inviting me. It's a great honor. And I also want to thank you, Dr. Tambe, for giving a very profound welcome address. I think you challenged us to think of some of the fundamental issues like patriotism, being good for the society, but at the same time, ultranationalism posing dangers for our society, and many other thoughts. And it was a great pleasure to listen to Sam Pitroda, friend for many years, and others. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Listening to Dr. Tambe in his welcome address, I was thinking of what Mahatma Gandhi said about patriotism. Mahatma Ji was speaking in Rangoon in 1929, and he said, and I quote, "Patriotism, my patriotism is not exclusive." That's what Mahatma Gandhi said. The patriotism I understand is the patriotism of the brotherhood of man. And if patriotism means one country exploiting another country, then that's not the patriotism that I appreciate. So Mahatma Gandhi gave us a very refreshing thinking, a refreshing thought about how we look at patriotism. So patriotism is not just blindly doing anything in the name of love for the country, but patriotism is loving the country and loving humanity at the same time. And this is something that we need to reflect on today in India, in the United States, in many other countries in the world. We know Mahatma Gandhi for his nonviolent resistance, his struggle against tyranny in South Africa, as well as in India. We know about his civil disobedience and nonviolent movement. But we are not so familiar with the role that Mahatma Gandhi played in changing the entire world. Currently, we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. We are not so familiar with the fact that Mahatma Gandhi actually promoted the idea of the United Nations when it was in the making. In 1924, he first articulated the idea of a World Federation of Nations in his writings in Young India and Harijan. And he consistently pursued that idea in his writings and in his speeches. And in 1942, 3 years before the UN was actually established, Mahatma Gandhi moved a resolution at the meeting of AICC calling for the establishment of a World Federation of Free Nations, a kind of world federation where exploitations of some countries by other countries would not take place, and where the resources of the world would be pulled together for the benefit of the most backward people. What he called Antyodaya in the national context, he also had Antyodaya very much in mind in the global context. So Mahatma is thinking about how the world should be shaped, what kind of global institutions that we need, were very much there right from the 1920s until he breathed his last in the January 1948. But somehow the scholarly community as well as the other students of Gandhism have not so much captured and followed on Mahatma Gandhi's thinking on the global institutions and the way they should be shaped. Sometime back, we heard Sam Pitroda saying that the world should be redesigned. And we already have a formula from Mahatma Gandhi presented in 1942 and earlier about how the world should be designed. And Mahatma Gandhi said that in this world, we need an institution like a World Federation of Nations, which is based on equality of nations, which is not based on dominance of any nation. And it is a world federation which is based on non-violence and mutual respect of nations, and which totally rejects exploitation and humiliation. That is what Mahatma Gandhi said. So we have a philosophical framework that he provided. And I would like to appeal to all of us that we should work towards not only reshaping our society, our country, but reshaping the whole world in the vision of Mahatma Gandhi that he provided to us. I want to point out one more fact, that today, 2nd October 2020, is not only an International Day of Non-Violence, but this year the United Nations has declared 2nd October 2020 as also the day of complete rejection and abolition of nuclear weapons. And if Mahatma Gandhi had been alive today, he would be campaigning for the abolition of nuclear weapons and all weapons of mass destruction, whether they are chemical weapons, whether they are biological weapons, or whether they are weapons driven by artificial intelligence or cyber weapons. And today, it is such a fortuitous coincidence that his birth anniversary is declared as the day of abolition of all weapons of mass destruction by the United Nations. And that is something we should seriously think about. While the UN has declared this date, the reality is a lot more alarming. We have a new arms race coming up in the world. The global military expenditure doubled from the end of the Cold War till this year. Actually, after the end of the Cold War, the military expenditure should have reduced, but it was $1,000 billion. Today, it is $2,000 billion. This year in 2020, while the world is facing the COVID threat, there is a new arms race started, and that is the race of the super hypersonic missiles. These hypersonic missiles cannot be detected. They carry nuclear weapons, and so they can just go and destroy any city or any country without being noticed. And that can be very dangerous. And once the hypersonic missiles are used, I think the next world war, if they are used there, will not last for more than an hour or two, and humanity faces the threat of extinction. So we should be quite aware of that. There are new kinds of nuclear weapons being developed, earth-penetrating weapons, which explode beneath the earth. There are other weapons being developed. And we have 2,500 nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert, which means they can be launched at just 5 or 10 minutes notice. So earlier we heard speakers talking about political crisis, medical crisis, economic crisis, but we also have massive security crisis, which can threaten the survival of humanity. And we have massive ethical crisis, which touch us at every level, from the individual to the global. So I do not want to take far too much time. We have very distinguished lineup that has been organized here, and that shows the strength of the Jaihind movement and its acceptance and its appreciation by a number of people around the world. But I would like to leave you with a message that we got from Mahatma Gandhi's own life and from his teachings and from his various professions, his thoughts, that the individual and the world is linked, and we need to work at all levels. So I pray that we all get strength to work for the betterment, for non-violence, and for peace at our individual level, at the national level, at the global level. Thank you, and Jaihind.
Thank you very much, sir. We indeed look forward to your continued support and guidance to this Jaihind People's Movement. We now move ahead to our next keynote speaker, who joined live with us from the USA. We have Joe Webster with us. Mr. Joe Webster is a state representative
Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
To the 150th Organization Program of the Air Force Reserve. Today, his legislative priorities are quality education. It is important to note that during the 9/11 terror attacks, Mr. Joe was present to the need for peace and harmony. We welcome you, sir, on board for this conference, and we open the stage for your comments and remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. As you can see, I have already learned from Mr. Islamza with this broad greeting and with his message that it is up to us. I'm Joe Webster. I'm a state representative in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And for those who would like to look at a map, that's just outside Philadelphia, our 6th largest city. So I'm not in Washington, D.C. I'm a state legislator. I also want to say special thanks to Ashtak Harner, who first invited me to participate today. When I first met Ashtak, he said, I can call him AJ. That is a thing we do, I think, wrongly in the United States. I told you my name just now, Joe. I think it is an important starting point that we learn each other's names. My legislative role is to vote on legislation that affects the residents of our area, our region, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And in that role, and also in my role as a citizen, I know how important it is to raise awareness about social justice, education, human rights, environmental causes. You all know that in the United States, like many parts of the world, and has been discussed today, we are struggling with these issues, with social justice and equality, with climate change, and with all the economic impacts of healthcare problems, gun violence, education issues, big issues. Mr. Sam Pitroda spoke just now of decentralization, that we need to practice the right values at all levels of government. When he said that just now, I understood why I'm here today. So, as a state legislator, I try to be aware of movements and campaigns that improve the quality of life for all of our neighbors, whether they be physically next door or around the world. I support and congratulate you on putting together a global conference in the spirit of what benefits a healthy democracy and a healthy people. I am honored to join you today. And I am impressed that you have joined 26 nations together today. I will note that it is by that individual effort by each of you that will add up to be combined and also to change our world. Many of our modern nations were born out of protest, out of advocacy and grassroots organization. And I believe that progress is attainable, maybe only attainable through this deliberate individual action, consistent messaging, and personal engagement. I'd like to list just a few examples. Here in the United States, we have seen the power of civil disobedience as a mechanism for change. One example is our civil rights movement from the 1960s that showed an image of organized peaceful protests in the struggle of one community against the power of a government that appeared to be unconcerned. We have images of young people quietly sitting at a lunch counter while being surrounded by others screaming and hurling hatred. And this always shines, those pictures always shine a spotlight on everything that was wrong with racial segregation in the United States. Mahatma Gandhi, whose birthday is remembered today, brought global attention through his hunger strike to the injustices put on the people of India by British law. And you know that example well. When coupled with nonviolence, civil disobedience leads to an effective journey that transforms the concerns of a people to tangible solutions. In my role as a legislator, another effective protest that I encounter frequently is advocacy through lobbying efforts. And I'll try to explain that. In the United States, each citizen has the right to petition our government. It's now called lobbying, and sometimes that gets a bad name. But it is an effective way for individuals to join together and influence government. Because democracy depends on the involvement of every citizen. These lobbyists that represent groups and advocacy groups can build relationships between policymakers and underrepresented groups or leaders in the causes that are respected, and they're respected for their knowledge and for their passion. They bring details and research that someone like myself doesn't have the time to find on our own. And that helps us craft policy or legislation, to persevere in protest and to do the right things at a legislative or a governmental level. Another important tool is the economic pressure that's fought through boycotts or sanctions as an acceptable means of protest by restricting financial access and gains from parties who aren't paying attention to the will of the people. Obviously, we've seen this work effectively both on large scale and small scale, from the end of apartheid in South Africa to something happening in the United States right now in terms of the impact on our business community to remove offensive imagery in their branding and their logos and their commercial outreach. So when our goal is to use nonviolent acts, not performatively, but constructively, we have the opportunity to convert words into law, and we make communities a better place. So hopefully this has just been my short opportunity to meet you and to present one perspective from the United States and at a local government level. But I think it is very important to hear the message that it is up to us, it is up to you, it is up to me. When we work as individuals to build a network in a community, when we work with others who are like-minded, that is our power. And we have a phenomenon like what has occurred in the United States through a student-led group called March for Our Lives, an effort that began in Florida to restrict gun violence and just the number of guns that you probably see every day in the news that are here in the United States. These students have banded their voice together. They represent a generation of young people who I think are our hope and our leaders on this issue of gun violence, but also with the power to create unified, impactful messaging that will exert influence over our elections in the United States and our law. These causes, they matter. They're big issues, as I listed in the beginning: social justice, human rights, equality in education, women's health, the quality of our natural resources, clean air and clean water. So simple and yet so vital to every individual on our planet. And they are certainly worth our time. And again, I'm thankful for you giving me this time today to use our individual and our collective voices for the betterment of our entire planet. And thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe. We appreciate you joining us live from the USA. And we wish you more power and vigor in the work that you're doing in your state, sir. Thank you so much once again. With this, we move to the last speak of our session, this inaugural session. We have a pre-recorded session from Mr. Thomas Lanke. He's the mayor of Edison, New Jersey. He's a senior vice president of the JK Health Systems. His experience and expertise in the field of finances and taxes has helped several common people in the area. We thank Mr. Lanke for taking time out for us in his busy schedule and sending us this pre-recorded video for this evening.
You at the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birth. Climate around the world, unfortunately, we cannot be together. We're doing things virtually. And it's just an honor to be able to speak to you about the great Mahatma Gandhi. He believed that injustice needed to be met, needed to be changed, and that until the world was peaceful and just for all, that we could coexist together. I think that's a great philosophy. I think it's something that we can learn today, because as you know, our world today is in some trouble. We see violence, we see rioting, we see other things that I'm sure is what Gandhi had seen and got involved. And we need to all band together, and we need to look and try to change the systematic causes of those things. That's what Gandhi believed, and I believe that that's what war. Arguments only cause more arguments. So we need peace, social, economic justice, and that's for everybody, because until everybody is protected, until everybody believes that they have a seat at the table and a place in the world that we live, there will not be that peace, there will not be that justice. And it's just an honor to be here, to congratulate, to participate, and to acknowledge the 150 years of Gandhi's birth. Those who know me know that I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and looking at Gandhi's life and his philosophies, Bruce Springsteen had a quote that nobody wins unless everybody wins. And I think that goes right to the core of what Gandhi believed. And it's just an honor to have done a little bit of research, found out about Gandhi. Obviously, great individual and somebody that we should be celebrating. And it's an honor to be here and just share a little bit of that with you. So I wish everybody health, peace, and safety in this world that we live. And great 150 years celebration for Gandhi. Take care, be safe.
We thank Mr. Thomas Lanke for sending in this video for this conference. I apologize, we have one more esteemed speaker with us, a pre-recorded video again. She's a woman leader from Germany. We have a pre-recorded video of Claudia Crawford. She's a German politician of Christian Democratic Union who became the youngest cabinet minister in German history while serving from 1994 to 98 as the Federal Minister for Family, Seniors, Youth, and Women Affairs. She went over to preside to the European Union Council of Ministers as well. We thank Madam Crawford for her video, and I would request the technical team to please play on Ms. Claudia Crawford's video.
Dear Dr. Tambe, dear participants, with this video, I send warm greetings to you all. You are participating in the global conference entitled Coming Together for Peace, Harmony, and Progress. October 2nd is not a random date. It is the anniversary of the birth of Mahatma Gandhi, which UNESCO has named the International Day of Non-Violence. Because Gandhi showed the world how great social and political changes can be made without using violence. Today's world is full of violence, wars, and displacement. But the world is also full of polarization, populism, and hatred. Our societies are divided. Different groups are hostile to each other instead of living in harmony with another. In such an atmosphere, however, it is difficult to solve existing problems. This would require cooperation and unity. And we see enough problems. We are currently experiencing how the COVID-19 pandemic affects almost all countries in the world. In some countries, the health systems are overloaded. In many countries, the economy is badly affected. People lose their jobs and fall into poverty. It is therefore very important that the world community work together to fight this pandemic. Another big problem that is affecting the whole world is climate change. The effects can be seen all over the world today. In some regions, there is severe drought. Others are affected by flooding and increasing extreme storms. The climate doesn't stop at national borders. This means that the world community must act together. The aim of your conference is to consider ways in which the growing trend of intolerance and hatred across the nation and around the world can be stopped. And you want to talk about far-reaching topics that are essential to the comprehensive development of humanity into a health society. The focus is on Gandhi's philosophy, in which the decisive values are peace, harmony, and progress. I was able to personally experience in my life how much power a peaceful movement can develop. 30 years ago, I was involved in a civil rights movement against a system of lack of freedom in what was then the GDR. We call these events a peaceful revolution that ultimately led to the unification of Germany. These experiences are still my motivation for my engagement, for my country, and for my society. But not only in Germany, I have experienced what it means if people commit themselves for their society. I have had very impressive experiences in India. When I was in India for the first time, I met Robert da Costa. He worked in a watershed project that helped people to supply their drought-affected villages with sufficient water using certain techniques. For these communities, water means life. It means that the people can stay in their villages and earn their income on their own land. That was in December 2000. During this time, Robert was faced with a decision to set up his own watershed project. The project was full of risks. It could only succeed if there were enough supporters. Robert took the risk. In February 2003, I visited him again in India. It was at this time that I met Dr. Tambe. I saw the beginnings of the work in the villages. The people there were very, very poor. They were the lowest in society. But the path that Robert chose for his work was in the spirit of Gandhi. He spoke to the people and inspired them that by working together, they can improve their lives. People forgot their differences. They decided every step in the project together. In doing so, they had not only laid the foundations for enough water to be available in the future, rather they created the basis for peaceful and harmonious coexistence. And it made progress in her life possible. And there are people like Dr. Tambe who support this project. He doesn't pay attention to whether people are poor or rich, but it is important to him that people have equal rights and live together in peace and harmony. I have visited the Roberts Project villages repeatedly since that time. I'm always impressed by the changes. It's not just the villages, that are becoming greener. New houses have been built and the children go to school. The people receive medical care. But the greatest development is taking place with the people themselves. They develop self-confidence and self-esteem, and that's great to see. You belong to the younger generation. It depends on you what the face of the earth will look like in the future. It matters what you want to achieve in your life, but not just what you want to achieve for yourself, but for your country and your society. Peace and harmony are essential foundations for good development, for great progress. But these doesn't come by themselves. They have to be created by humans. Gandhi is a role model that you can use as a guide. I wish you very success at this conference. I wish you a lot of inspiration and a great passion to make this world a better place.
This opportunity to thank Claudia Crawford ma'am for sending us this message, the importance of cooperation and unity. सहयोग आणि एकता ह्या मूल्यांना एकत्रित काम करण्याची गरज आहे. गांधी हेच आपले रोल मॉडेल असू शकतात हे त्यांच्या विचारांचा गाभा होता. भारतातील आपल्या आठवणींनाही त्यांनी उजाळा या क्षणी दिलेला आहे. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of this virtual global conference 2020, coming together for peace, harmony, and progress. I thank all our esteemed speakers who have participated in the inaugural session. We start with Dr. Sudhirji Tambe, the founder president of the Jaihind People's Movement. Thank you, sir, for your initiative. We thank His Holiness Dalai Lama for allowing us to play his video in the conference. We thank Frank Islamji for joining us live from the USA. We thank Joe Webster for coming on live from USA, Sandeep Vaslekarji, Thomas Lanky-ji, and Claudia Crawford-ji for being a part of this inaugural session. We thank you all from the bottom of our heart on behalf of the Jaihind People's Movement, Maharashtra. Thank you very much. With this, we come to the end of this first inaugural session. I now announce the second session of the day, the topic for which is relevance of Mahatma Gandhi, and we already have our esteemed speakers joining us in the Zoom. I would request my colleagues Vaishnavi Karad and Snehal Patil to please come online and host the show for us. I request the technical team to take them online, and I hand over the narration to Sneha Patil and Vaishnavi. Thank you.
Thank you, Utkarsha. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I, Sneha Patil from India, extend my greetings to all the dignitaries, guest speakers, and participants across the globe. I welcome you all to the second session for today, which focuses on relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century. At the outset, I would like to thank the founder of Jaihind People's Movement, Dr. Sudhir Tambe-ji, for giving all of us a unique platform to hear worldviews from people of different age groups across the globe on topics that matter in this age and time. Dr. Tambe's efforts to bring like-minded people together with a vision to create a healthy society is awe-inspiring. To set context and begin our session today, I would request the team to play the song, De Di Hame Azadi.
दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल आंधी में भी जलती रहे गांधी तेरी मशाल
साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। धरती पे लड़ी तूने अजब ढब की लड़ाई, दागी न कहीं तूफ न बंदूक जलाई, दुश्मन के किले पर भी न की तूने चढ़ाई, बाहरे फकीर खूब करामात दिखाई। चुटकी में दुश्मनों को दिया देश से निकाल, चुटकी में दुश्मनों को दिया देश से निकाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। तेरी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, रघुपति राघव राजा राम, शतरंज बिछा कर बैठा था जमाना, लगता था कि मुश्किल है फिरंगी को हराना, टक्कर थी बड़ी जोर की दुश्मन भी था ताना, पर तू भी था बापू बड़ा उस्ताद पुराना, मारा वो कस के दाव के उल्टी सभी की चाल, मारा वो कस के दाव के उल्टी सभी की चाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, रघुपति राघव राजा राम।
Thank you, team. To our friends who are not familiar with the Hindi language, this song is originally from a Hindi movie by the name Jagriti, dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. The chorus lines applaud the Mahatma for giving us freedom without any violence. Moving on, our first guest speaker in this session is an encyclopedia of Gandhi, India's freedom struggle, Indian politics, and international politics across decades. He is a Padma Shri awardee, which is one of the highest civilian awards in India for distinguished service in education and literature. He's a senior journalist, writer, and now a politician, revered across generations for his fantastic work. He now serves as the chief editor in Dainik Divya Marathi. He was earlier the editor-in-chief of Lok Satta and has worked with publications like Maharashtra Times and the Economic Times in the past. As a politician, he has been serving as a member of the Upper House of Parliament since 2018 and is a member of the Parliamentary Committee of External Affairs. I now invite Shri Kumar Ketkarji to share his thoughts on the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century.
सध्या आपण अतिशय विचित्र, विकृत आणि विरोधाभासी अशा परिस्थितीतून जात आहोत. आपले जे राज्यकर्ते आहेत ते सकाळी उठल्यापासून ते रात्रीपर्यंत सतत महात्मा गांधींचं नाव घेतात. स्वच्छता अभियानचं नावच कोणी गांधीजींच्या नावाने आहे. जणू काही त्यांनी त्यांचे ब्रँड अँबॅसेडर केले आहे. एका बाजूला अशा प्रकारे गांधीजींचा गौरव करत असताना किंवा त्यांचा सन्मान त्यांच्या 150व्या जयंतीच्या निमित्ताने करत असताना दुसऱ्या बाजूला मात्र त्यांनी नथुराम गोडसेचंही कौतुक तेवढ्याच प्रमाणात करायला सुरुवात केली. नथुराम गोडसेचाही सन्मान करायला सुरुवात केली. म्हणूनच प्रज्ञा ठाकूर ज्या गोपाळला उभ्या राहिल्या त्यांनी उघडपणेच नथुराम गोडसे हा खरा देशभक्त होता असं म्हटलं. ज्यावेळेला त्याच्यावर टीका झाली त्यावेळेला आपले पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी असं म्हणाले की ह्या त्यांच्या उद्गारांबद्दल त्यांना आम्ही जरूर शिक्षा देऊ, परंतु प्रत्यक्षात त्यांना शिक्षा तर दिलीच नाही. त्यांच्या बाजूने जोरदार प्रचार सर्व भाजपच्या पुढाऱ्यांनी केला, त्यात नरेंद्र मोदी सुद्धा होते. म्हणजे एका बाजूनी असं म्हणायची पद्धत होती एकेकाळी की बगल में नथुराम मोमेरा, परंतु आता बगल में पण नथुराम नाहीये. आता त्यांचा थेट बाहेर बगलेच्या बाहेरच आलेला आहे नथुराम आणि रामाचं नाव घेत घेतच त्यांनी नथुरामला पुढे केलेला आहे. त्यामुळेच आपल्या देशाला ह्या विरोधाभासाचा, या ढोंगीपणाचा, या ढोंगी राजकारणाचा एक फार मोठा वैचारिक आणि बौद्धिक असा एक धोका आहे. वैचारिक आणि बौद्धिक धोका असं का म्हणायचं, तर अनेक तथाकथित पत्रकार किंवा बुद्धिमंतांना किंवा तथाकथित विचारवंतांना सध्या गोडसे आणि गांधी यांच्यामध्ये नक्की कोणाला निवडायचं असा प्रश्न निर्माण करण्यामध्ये सत्तेचे सत्ताधारी यशस्वी झालेले आहेत. आपल्याला गांधीजींचा विचार जर मान्य असेल तर आपल्याला हा संघर्ष आतून आणि बाहेरून म्हणजे पक्षांतर्गतच नव्हे तर देशांतर्गत, आपल्या समाजाच्या अंतर्गत, आपल्या बुद्धिवाद्यांच्या, आपल्या कॉलेजांच्या आणि आपल्या शाळांच्या मधून करावा लागणार आहे. कारण आता या सरकारने सर्रास आपल्या शाळांची जी पुस्तकं आहेत, जी टेक्स्टबुक आहेत, ते बदलायला घेतलेले आहेत. हळूहळू त्यांचा हल्ला हा आता फक्त जो पंडित नेहरूंवरती चालू आहे किंवा पंडित नेहरूंच्या कुटुंबावरती चालू आहे किंवा घराण्यावरती चालू आहे, तो हळूहळू आता त्यांना नेहरूंच्या विचारसरणीवर आणि त्याच्यानंतर एकूण स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीवरच तो हल्ला करायचा आहे. कारण गांधीजी तर स्वातंत्र्य मिळाल्यानंतर 5.5 महिन्यांनीच त्यांची हत्या झाली. प्रत्यक्षात ती हत्या त्यावेळेला झाली त्यावेळेस सांगण्यात आलं की गांधीजींनी पाकिस्तानला जी काही सवलती दिल्या त्याच्यामध्ये हत्या झाली. तसं नव्हतं. गांधीजींच्या हत्येचा प्रयत्न आणि कट हा 1933 पासून चालू होता आणि तेव्हापासून ते 47 पर्यंत आणि 48 पर्यंत म्हणजे 47च्या फायदे आणि स्वातंत्र्यापासून ते 30 जानेवारी 1948 पर्यंत गांधीजींच्या कटाचे प्रयत्न चालू होते, खुनाचे प्रयत्न चालू होते. त्याच्यामध्ये नथुराम होता, त्याच्यामध्ये राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ सुद्धा होता. किंबहुना एक काळ असा होता माझ्या मते 30च्या काळातला की ज्यावेळेला मुंजे आणि गोडसे हे एकत्र राहत सुद्धा होते. मुद्दा हा की त्यांना गांधीजींची केवळ हत्या करायची नव्हती तर गांधीजींच्या नेतृत्वाखाली जी स्वातंत्र्य चळवळ उभी होती त्या स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीलाच त्यांना नाकारायचं होतं. ती स्वातंत्र्य चळवळ त्यांना गाडून टाकायची होती. आणि आता आपण 2014 पासून पाहतोय की त्यांचा प्रत्यक्ष हल्ला हा नेहरूंवरती नसून त्या स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीवरती आहे. आणि म्हणूनच स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीवरचा त्यांचा हल्ला याचा अर्थ काय हे आपण समजून घेतलं पाहिजे. स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीवरचा त्यांचा हल्ला याचा अर्थ असा, स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीने जी मूल्य दिली किंबहुना स्वातंत्र्य चळवळ जर नसती तर हा देश जन्माला आला नसता. 1857 मध्ये निरनिराळी संस्थानं इंग्रजांच्या ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनीच्या विरोधात लढली. 1885 साली काँग्रेस स्थापना झाली. त्यावेळेला सुद्धा निरनिराळी संस्थानं होती. इतकंच नव्हे तर अगदी स्वातंत्र्य मिळण्याच्या अगोदर सुद्धा ही संस्थानं कशी बरखास्त करायची हाच प्रश्न होता. म्हणूनच काही इंग्रज तत्वज्ञ तिकडचे विचारवंत आणि मुत्सद्दी असं म्हणायचे की आपण कुठे भारतावर राज्य केले, आपण निरनिराळी संस्थानं ताब्यात घेतलेली. त्यामुळे ती आपण त्या संस्थानांना परत करू म्हणजे भारत देश ज्याला ब्रिटिश इंडिया म्हणून ते म्हणायचे तो अस्तित्वातच नाहीये. फक्त अस्तित्वात काय आहे तर संस्थानं, तेव्हा आपण त्या संस्थानांकडे हा देश सुपूर्द करू. आणि तोच त्यांचा कट होता. म्हणजे भारतामध्ये साधारणपणे 650 संस्थानं होती, ती तशी राहिली असती आणि भारताला स्वातंत्र्य मिळायचा प्रश्न नव्हता कारण भारत हा देश उभा चालला नसता. गांधीजींना ठार मारून त्यांनी ती स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीतनं निर्माण होणाऱ्या भारताची संकल्पना त्यांना मारून टाकायची होती. प्रत्यक्षात त्या स्वातंत्र्यानंतरचा भारत जो उभा केला तो पंडित नेहरूंच्या नेतृत्वाखाली आणि पंडित नेहरूंनी जो देश उभा केला त्याला आकार दिला पुढे इंदिरा गांधींनी आणि राजीव गांधींनी. त्यांना हा सगळा वारसा पुसून टाकायचा आहे. म्हणून आपल्या लक्षात येईल की आता सोनिया किंवा राहुल असो किंवा पूर्वी नेहरू असो त्यांचा हल्ला कायम त्या कुटुंबावरती पण तो वरवर वाटतो तसा तो कुटुंबावरती नाही. त्याला ते घराणेशाहीच्या विरोधात म्हणतात, तो घराणेशाहीचा हल्ला नाही. तो हल्ला स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीवरचा आहे. म्हणजे स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीला जी मूल्य प्रामुख्याने गांधीजींनी दिली त्या गांधीजींच्या तत्वांवरती त्या मूल्यांवरती तो हल्ला आहे. म्हणून त्यांना स्वातंत्र्य चळवळ पुसून टाकायचे. गांधीजी केवळ राजकारणी नव्हते. गांधीजींना संत म्हणून त्यांना दूर साधता येणार नाही. त्यांना राजकारणी म्हणून त्यांचं महत्व कमी करता येणार नाही. गांधीजी सर्वंकष व्यक्तिमत्व होतं. ते कलाकार होते, त्यांना संगीताची उत्तम जाण होती, त्यांना चित्रकलेची उत्तम जाण होती. असा एकही विषय नाही. तंत्रज्ञानाची जाणीव होती. किंबहुना असा एक प्रचार केला जातो की गांधीजींचा आधुनिकतेला विरोध होता, गांधीजींचा यंत्र संस्कृतीला विरोध होता, तंत्र संस्कृतीला विरोध होता. तसं अजिबात नाही. गांधीजींचा औद्योगिकतेला पूर्ण पाठिंबा होता. किंबहुना आपण लक्षात घेतलं पाहिजे की चरखा हे सुद्धा यंत्र आहे आणि ते चरखा यंत्र सुरुवातीला जे होतं त्याच्यात गांधीजींनी स्वतः बदल केले आणि तेच आधुनिक यंत्र तयार केलं. आणि त्यावेळेला जो प्रश्न होता मुख्यतः तो माणसाला म्हणजे शेतकऱ्याला, कामगाराला, कोणत्याही माणसाला पूर्णपणे स्वावलंबी करण्याचं चरखा एक माध्यम होतं. चरखा हे त्याच्या अभिमानाचं पण माध्यम होतं. चरखा हातात घेतला खूप लोक चरख्याची टिंगल करतात, पण तो चरखा हातात घेतला की एकाच वेळेला तो स्वावलंबी पण होतो, पूर्णपणे स्वयंभू होऊ शकतो आणि तरी तो संबंध समाजाशी जोडला जाऊ शकतो आणि समाजामधलं जे औद्योगिकरण आहे ते व्यक्तिगत पातळीवरती आणू शकतो. आपले स्वतःचे कपडे सुद्धा विणण्याची शक्ती त्याच्यामध्ये प्राप्त होते आणि अशा अनेक लोकांना एकत्र, अशा अनेक चरखाधाऱ्यांना एकत्र करून त्यांना सत्याग्रहाचं तत्वज्ञान देऊन गांधीजींनी अक्षरशः चळवळ पुढे नेली. म्हणजेच गांधीजींनी प्रत्येक व्यक्तीला चळवळीत आणलं, ते चरखा माध्यमात आणलं. त्यांनी फक्त चरखा किंवा फक्त सत्याग्रह असं केलं नाही, त्यांनी अनेक चळवळी एकाच वेळेला सुरू केल्या. दारूबंदीची चळवळ असेल, साक्षरता चळवळ असेल, हिंदी भाषा परिषद असेल, त्याच्यानंतर नीटनेटक्या कुटुंबांमधल्या प्रश्नांविषयी असेल, त्यानंतर रुग्णसेवा असेल. स्वतः गांधी महारोग्यांची सेवा करत असत, प्रत्यक्ष त्यांच्या जवळ राहून. एक प्रसिद्ध गोष्ट आहे, एक अमेरिकेचा वार्ताहर आला होता आणि तो गांधीजींना भेटू इच्छित होता, त्यांना मुलाखत द्यायची होती त्या वार्ताहराला, परंतु गांधीजी त्यांच्या आश्रमाच्या आतल्या बाजूला होते आणि बाहेर तो बसलेला होता. अर्धा पाऊण तास झाला पण काही गांधीजी बाहेर आलेले म्हणून त्यांना डुकावून पाहिलं तर आतमध्ये जो एक संडास होता तो गांधीजी साफ करत होते. थोड्या वेळाने गांधीजी बाहेर आले, त्यावेळेस तो असं म्हणाला की मला वाटलं गांधीजी तुमची एवढी जगभर ख्याती आहे, तुम्ही खूप महत्वाचं आत काहीतरी काम करत असाल, स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीचं काहीतरी काम करत असाल. तेव्हा गांधीजी म्हणाले संडास साफ करणं हे सुद्धा स्वातंत्र्य चळवळीचं काम आहे, कारण आम्हाला फक्त स्वातंत्र्य इंग्रजांपासून नकोय, आम्हाला आमच्या जाती व्यवस्थेपासून स्वातंत्र्य हवंय. ही आपली जाती व्यवस्था जी उतरंडीची आहे तिने आमच्यावरती प्रचंड मोठा अन्याय काही हजार वर्ष केलाय. ती जात व्यवस्था दूर करायची, ती धर्मव्यवस्था दूर करायची, ती निवडणुकीची ब्रिटिशांचे राजवट घालवायचे, ते जमीनदारी घालवायचे, ती भांडवलदारी घालवायचे. सगळे जे शत्रू आहेत ते एकाच वेळेला आम्हाला लढायचे. आणि म्हणजेच गांधीजींचा विचार हा सर्वोत्कर्ष होता आणि म्हणूनच आपल्या लक्षात येईल जगभरचे कलावंत, जगभरचे संगीतकार, जगभरचे कवी, जगभरचे लेखक हे सगळे गांधीजींच्या तत्वज्ञानाच्या पाठीमागे उभे राहिले, गांधीजींच्या व्यक्तिमत्वाच्या पाठीमागे उभे राहिले, गांधीजींच्या नेतृत्वाच्या पाठीमागे उभे राहिले. आईन्स्टाईन सारखा जगप्रसिद्ध शास्त्रज्ञ की ज्याचं नाव कायम इतिहासात राहणार आहे, त्या आईन्स्टाईनने असं म्हटलं गांधीजींसारखा मनुष्य या भूतलावरती होता आणि ह्या भूतलावरती तो त्याचे साधे पंचा नेसून काठी घेऊन तो चालत होता. हे जर कोणाला सांगितलं तर कोणाचा विश्वास बसणार नाही भविष्य काळातल्या पिढ्यांमध्ये. पण असा हा पंचाधारी काठी घेतलेला आणि कायम चालत राहणारा मनुष्य संबंध जगाला स्फूर्ती देणारा होता. याचा नंतर पुढे उत्तम पुरावा दिसला. नेल्सन मंडेला जेव्हा तुरुंगातून सुटले 1994 मध्ये, तेव्हा त्यांनी सांगितलं त्यांच्यावरचा सगळ्यात मोठा प्रभाव हा गांधीजींचा होता. अमेरिकेचे राष्ट्राध्यक्ष ओबामा यांनी व्हाईट हाऊसमध्ये शपथ घेतली तेव्हा त्यांनी सांगितलं गांधीजींच्या विचारांनी मार्टिन लुथर किंग आणि त्यांच्या विचारांनी ओबामा स्वतः प्रेरित झाले होते. म्हणजेच गांधीजींचा विचार हा अगदी परवापर्यंत लोकांना प्रभावित करणारा ठरला. त्यात नेल्सन मंडेला असो किंवा ओबामा असो किंवा आयर्लंड मधले स्वातंत्र्यवीर असो किंवा हो ची मिन्हचे व्हिएतनामी वीर असो, म्हणजेच एका बाजूने आपल्याच देशात जिथे गांधीजी होते, जिथे गांधीजींनी आपल्याला मार्गदर्शन केलं, त्यांच्याच देशामध्ये गांधीजींना दूर करण्याचा, गांधीजींचा वारसा पुसून टाकण्याचा, गांधीजींचं नाव घेऊन आणि त्याच वेळेला नाव घेऊन गांधीजींचा वारसा पुसून टाकण्याचे जे प्रयत्न आपल्या देशात चालू आहेत, त्या गांधीजींच्या विचाराला, त्या गांधीजींच्या व्यक्तिमत्वाला, त्या गांधीजींच्या नेतृत्वाला संबंध जगभर मान्यता मिळते. आणि ते फक्त राजकारण्यांमध्ये नाही तर मगाशी मी म्हटल्याप्रमाणे कलावंतांमध्ये, कलाकारांमध्ये, लेखकांमध्ये, वैज्ञानिकांमध्ये अशा प्रकारे गांधीजींचं हे जे व्यक्तिमत्व आहे त्याचा आपण विचार करताना केवळ गांधी आणि राजकारण असा विचार करून चालणार नाही, गांधी आणि सत्याग्रह आणि अहिंसा एवढाच विचार करून चालणार नाही, तर गांधीजींचा सर्वंकष तत्व प्रणाली हा आपला अभ्यासाचा, अध्ययनाचा आणि विचार प्रणालीचा विषय असला पाहिजे. तो जोपर्यंत आपण करत नाही तोपर्यंत आपण गांधीजींचं फक्त नामस्मरण करू, प्रत्यक्षात गांधीजींकडून आपण काही शिकणार नाही. ते शिकायची आता पुन्हा वेळ आलेली आहे. 2 मोठ्या पिढ्या गांधीजींकडनं शिकल्या. ज्या पिढ्यांनी गांधीजींचा हा विचार पुढे नेला तो विचार आत्ताच्या तरुणांमध्ये तर जवळजवळ पूर्णपणे नाहीसा होताना दिसतोय. किंबहुना आत्ताचे अनेक तरुण जे व्हॉट्सअप युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये वाटतात त्यांना तर गांधीजी हा टिंगलीचा विषय वाटतो. गांधीजींनी अहिंसा सांगितलं भेकडपणाचं लक्षण वाटतं. गांधीजी म्हणत असत अहिंसा पाळायला प्रत्यक्षात अधिक धैर्य लागतं, शस्त्रांपेक्षा जास्त, शस्त्रधाऱ्यांपेक्षा जास्त. आणि म्हणून आपण हे लक्षात घेतलं पाहिजे की गांधीजींचा विचार जे आत्ताच्या तरुण पिढीचा नष्ट होतोय तरुण पिढीमध्ये, तो नष्ट होणारा विचाराची जी प्रक्रिया आहे ती आपण थोपवून धरली पाहिजे. आणि गांधीजींचा विचार म्हणजे सर्वंकष भारताचा, सर्वंकष जगाचा विचार गांधीजींचे मुख्य आई होते, अनुयायी होते विनोबा भावे. त्यांनी जय जगत ही घोषणा दिली जागतिकीकरणाच्याही 50 वर्ष अगोदर. म्हणजेच गांधीजींच्या विचाराचं, गांधीजींच्या तत्वज्ञानाचं आणि त्यांच्या व्यक्तिमत्वाचं आपल्याला महत्व लक्षात येईल. ते जर आपण लक्षात घेतलं नाही तर हा देश सुद्धा लयाला जाईल गांधीजींच्या विचाराबरोबरच. आणि आत्ताच्या राज्यकर्त्यांच्या धोरणाचा जर परिपाक काय होणार असेल तर नुसतं गांधीजींचा विचार नाही, स्वातंत्र्य चळवळ नाही, तर देशच लयाला जाण्याची शक्यता आहे. ती शक्यता विचारात घेऊन आपल्याला गांधीजींचं स्मरण केलं पाहिजे.
Thank you, Kumar Ketkarji, for sharing your thoughts on the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century. सर, तुमच्यासाठी काही प्रश्न आहेत. पहिला प्रश्न सचिन कोठावदे नाशिक यांच्याकडून आहे. तुम्ही असे म्हणालात की महात्मा गांधीजींची विचारसरणी आणि पर्यायाने स्वातंत्र्य लढ्याचे योगदान काही लोक पुसून टाकायचा प्रयत्न करत आहेत. या मागचे कारण काय? यातून त्यांना काय साध्य करायचे आहे? दुसरे म्हणजे एक विचार पुसल्यानंतर त्या जागी पर्यायी विचार द्यावा लागतो. ही पर्यायी विचारसरणी कशी असेल आणि त्याचा भारतीय समाज जीवनावर कसा फरक पडू शकतो?
आवाज ऐकू येतोय का?
हो सर. सर, तुमचा आवाज गेलाय, परत नाही येते.
गांधीजींचा विचार आणि गांधीजींचा वारसा पुसून टाकण्याचा जो प्रयत्न होतोय तो सर्व प्रकारच्या धर्मवादी विचारांकडनं आणि भारतामध्ये तो हिंदुत्ववादी शक्तींकडनं होतोय. ज्या हिंदुत्ववादी शक्ती आता राज्यावर आलेल्या आहेत त्यांना गांधीजींचा विचार मान्य नाही, कारण गांधीजींचा विचार हा सबको सन्मती दे भगवान अशा भूमिकेचा होता. म्हणजे सगळ्यांचा, कोणत्याही धर्माचे असो, ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम ही त्यांची घोषणा होती. म्हणजेच भारताची फाळणी ज्या तत्वावर झाली असं म्हटलं जातं, हिंदू मुस्लिम, ते लोक हा विचारातच मुद्दा घेत नाहीत की बहुसंख्य मुसलमानांनी, बहुसंख्य मुस्लिम समाजांनी भारतात राहणं पसंत केलं ज्या वेळेला त्यांना पाकिस्तानमध्ये जाण्याची शक्यता होती तेव्हा सुद्धा. म्हणजेच हिंदू आणि मुस्लिम ह्या समाजामध्ये प्रत्यक्षात एकत्व होतं, एकजूट होती, मतभेद असले तरी एकजूट होती आणि एकत्व होतं. परंतु त्यांच्यातल्या तथाकथित धर्मवादी प्रवृत्ती, दोन्ही बाजूच्या धर्मवादी प्रवृत्तींनी ही फाळणी घडवून आणली. आणि ती फाळणी घडवून आणताना त्यांनी जो प्रचार केला त्या विचाराला मानणारे जे लोक आहेत, म्हणजे कट्टर हिंदुत्ववादी असतील किंवा कट्टर इस्लामवादी असतील, त्यांना गांधीजींचा विचार मान्य नाही, त्यांना गांधीजींचा वारसा मान्य नाही. भारतापुरतं बोलायचं तर भारतामध्ये प्रत्यक्षामध्ये आज जेवढे पाकिस्तानमध्ये मुस्लिम आहेत त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त मुस्लिम भारतामध्ये आहेत. परंतु भारतामध्ये जे राज्य आहे, जी सत्ता आहे, ती मात्र हिंदुत्ववादी शक्तींच्या ताब्यात गेलेली आहे. त्यांना गांधीवादांचा, गांधी पूर्ण विचाराचा वारसा पुसून टाकल्याशिवाय त्यांना अभिप्रेत असलेलं हिंदू राष्ट्र स्थापन करता येणार नाही. ते स्थापन करण्यासाठी तुम्ही जर पाहिलं असेल तर गेल्या विशेषतः 20 वर्षामध्ये, म्हणजे राम जन्मभूमीच्या संबंधातलं आंदोलन 1990 साली मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सुरू झालं, तेव्हापासून आपण पाहतोय बाबरी मशीद उद्ध्वस्त झाली आणि त्याच्यानंतर गेल्या महिन्यामध्ये राम जन्मभूमीची स्थापना झाली. ते वरवर दिसतं, तसा राम जन्मभूमी पुरता मुद्दा मर्यादित नाही, त्यांना हिंदू राष्ट्र स्थापन करायचं आहे, त्याची ही पूर्वतयारी आहे. आणि म्हणून त्यांना विरोध असलेला वर्ग हा अधिकृत हिंदुत्ववाद्यांचा वर्ग आहे. आपल्याला त्यांच्यापासून सावध व्हायचं आहे, कारण आपल्याला जातीयवाद आणि धर्मवाद नको आहे. गांधीजींना तो नको होता, गांधीजींना तो नको होता हे सगळ्या जगाने मान्य केलंय. दुर्दैवाने आता भारताचे सत्ताधारीच ते मान्य करत नाहीत. फक्त ते गांधींचं नाव घेतात, स्वच्छता अभियानाला गांधींचं नाव देतात, परंतु त्यांचा राजकीय आणि तात्विक विचार हा पुसून टाकायचा प्रयत्न चालू आहे.
धन्यवाद सर. दुसरा प्रश्न श्री आशिष ढोक नागपूर यांच्याकडून आहे. महात्मा गांधींनी अहिंसक मार्गाने सत्याग्रह उभारला आणि ब्रिटिश राज यशस्वीपणे उलटवून लावले. आज भारतात आणि जगात असहिष्णुता आणि द्वेष विरोधात गांधीवादावर आधारित नव्याने सत्याग्रह कशा पद्धतीने उभारता येईल?
नव्याने सत्याग्रह उभारायचा म्हणजे तोच प्रकार वापरायचा की जो गांधीजी म्हणत असत की जोपर्यंत आपल्या देशातल्या एकाही माणसाच्या डोळ्यामध्ये अश्रू आहे, त्याच्या पोटात भूक आहे, त्याला शिक्षणाची गरज आहे पण त्याला शिक्षण मिळत नाहीये, म्हणजे ज्याच्या डोळ्यात अश्रू आहेत, ज्याला शिक्षणाची गरज आहे, ज्याला भूक आहे, त्याला अन्न नाहीये, त्या वर्गाची जोपर्यंत मुक्तता होत नाही, त्या वर्गाची सेवा जोपर्यंत आपण करत नाही, तोपर्यंत गांधीजींचा विचार पूर्णपणे यशस्वी होणार नाही. त्यामुळे ज्यांना आता चळवळ करायची आहे त्यांना सगळ्यात प्रथम जो अंडर प्रिव्हिलेज क्लास आहे, म्हणजे जो उपेक्षित वर्ग आहे, त्या उपेक्षित आणि जातीय आणि धर्मीय बंधनांमध्ये अडकलेल्या समाजाला मुक्त करण्याचा गरज आहे. त्याच्यासाठी त्यांना सरंजामशाही, भांडवलशाही, धर्मशाही, जातीशाही या सगळ्याच्या विरुद्ध लढायचं आहे. गांधीजींचा मी म्हटल्याप्रमाणे संघर्ष फक्त ब्रिटिशांच्या विरोधी नव्हता, तो सार्वत्रिक होता, सर्वंकष होता. समाजातल्या सर्व रिपूंना, सर्व शत्रूंना पाठीमागे टाकून, हरवून आपल्याला समाजामध्ये निशस्त्रपणे अहिंसक पद्धतीने एक वेगळी समानता प्रस्थापित करण्याचा त्यांचा विचार होता. ते करण्यासाठी त्या माणसांच्या चळवळी उभ्या केल्या पाहिजेत, त्या आदिवासींच्या, त्या शेतमजुरांच्या, त्या गरीब कामगारांच्या, त्या झोपडपट्ट्यांमध्ये राहणाऱ्या असंख्य लोकांच्या. आज देशामध्ये नाही म्हटलं तरी जवळजवळ 80 कोटी लोक किती दरिद्र आहेत याचा पुरावा अलीकडे आपल्याला मिळाला. पंतप्रधानांनी मध्ये जाहीर केलं की 80 कोटी लोकांना ते 35 किलो धान्य दरमहा पुरवणार आहेत. याचा अर्थ त्यांनी मान्य केलं की 80 कोटी लोकांना पुरेसं धान्य पण मिळत नाही. अशी अवस्था आता आपल्या देशात आहे. ती दूर करण्यासाठी, म्हणजेच त्या लोकांना संघटित करून प्रस्थापितांच्या विरोधामध्ये लढण्यासाठी तयारी करणं, म्हणजे गांधीजींचा विचार चळवळीमध्ये आणणं.
धन्यवाद सर. तिसरा आणि शेवटचा प्रश्न तौफिक मुलानी कोल्हापूर यांच्याकडून आहे. महात्मा गांधींच्या म्हणण्यानुसार व्यक्तीचे अंतर्मन शांत झाले की समाज, देश व पर्यायाने विश्वात देखील शांतता नांदेल. वैयक्तिक आणि कौटुंबिक पातळीवर शांतता आणि संवाद साधण्यासाठी गांधीवाद कसा वापरता येईल?
मला वाटतं गांधीजींनी मुख्यतः काय सांगितलंय की तुम्हाला व्यक्तिगत जीवनामध्ये सुद्धा सहिष्णुता पाहिजे, सहनशक्ती पाहिजे. तुम्हाला कोणत्याही प्रकारची हिंसा, मग ती शाब्दिक हिंसा सुद्धा तुम्ही करता कामा नये, संघटनात्मक हिंसा सुद्धा करता कामा नये. आणि मला वाटतं हे की फारसं कठीण आहे असं मला वाटत नाही. प्रत्येकाच्या व्यक्तिगत जीवनामध्ये विविध प्रकार हिंसा येत असते. समाजात तर आपण आता चारही बाजूनी हिंसेने वेढलेलं पाहतो. त्या हिंसेच्या विरुद्ध लढायला काही फार मोठे श्रम लागणार नाहीत, परंतु आपण ते तेवढे सुद्धा श्रम घ्यायला तयार नाही. आपल्याला व्यक्तिगत जीवनात सहिष्णुता, सहनशक्ती, दुसऱ्याचं म्हणणं काय ते समजून घ्यायची प्रवृत्ती, लोकशाही पद्धतीने, सामंजस्याच्या पद्धतीने एकूण प्रश्न सोडवण्याचा प्रयत्न आपण करत नाही आणि अप्रत्यक्षपणे आपण हिंसेला उत्तेजनच देत असतो. त्यामुळे हिंसेला उत्तेजन देणं ही गोष्ट काही केवळ राजकीय गोष्ट नाहीये, ती आपल्या व्यक्तिगत जीवनात आहे, कौटुंबिक जीवनात आहे, सामाजिक जीवनात आहे, आपल्या शेजारी पाजाऱ्यांमध्ये आणि आपण आपल्या आजूबाजूला पाहतोय चारही बाजूनी हिंसा आपल्याला वेढत चालली आहे. त्यामुळे गांधीजींच्या विचाराला विशेष महत्व आहे. आता सगळ्या वक्त्यांनी पण सांगितलं की हिंसा टाळणं शक्य आहे. त्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला प्रत्येकाला व्यक्तिगत पातळीवरती तो विचार मनापासून पटला पाहिजे आणि तो लोकांना सांगितला पाहिजे.
धन्यवाद सर. आपला वेळ दिल्याबद्दल आणि या सेशनला लाईव्ह आल्याबद्दल आपले खूप खूप आभार. Our next speaker is a student and research assistant at Wayne State University, USA, Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry, Master of Science in Pharmaceutical Science, has worked across different organizations in different roles over the last couple of years. He has also worked as a hockey instructor. Like Shri Ketkarji mentioned in his speech, peace leaders like Mahatma Gandhi have inspired people across different fraternities, including and not limited to artists, novelists, scientists, researchers, intellectuals, thought leaders, educationists, and more. Without further delay, let us hear what Michael Crowley has to say about the father of our nation.
Hi, and I just want to do a quick sound check here. So can everyone hear me? Good. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction, and hello everybody, and namaste. I'm Michael Crowley from the state of Michigan in the United States. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Jaihind People's Movement, especially Dr. Sudhir Tambe and Global Coordinator Dr. Suraj Gavande, for inviting me to this global conference and giving me the opportunity to talk about the world's most important topic, which is coming together for peace, harmony, and progress. And I'd like to share my views about some of history's most famous peace leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King. And they won the people's hearts by nurturing many movements like Jaihind's movements. And I'm happy to see that the Jaihind movement is picking up where they left off, bringing people across the globe together through this conference. And I became a Jaihind's global member, and I try to follow Mahatma Gandhi and other peace leaders' philosophies and incorporate them into my life. I recently read Mahatma Gandhi's journal, Young India, which lists 7 social sins. And today I'm going to talk about his thoughts on 4 important sins and that are relevant in the world today. So the first is wealth without work. And work is not just a way to earn income, but it also gives you dignity. And we seem to have forgotten to conserve the resources of the world and share these resources equitably with all, so that everyone can aspire to have a good standard of living life. The poor are unfortunately made to slog on while the rich earn profits. And the second is pleasure without a conscience. And it's completely legitimate to seek pleasure. Everyone has the right to do things that are pleasing to their senses and soul. But if they occur in excess, these same pleasures can cause a lot of harm. So to learn to give and take, to live selflessly, to be sensitive, to be considerate is our challenge today. Otherwise, there's no sense of social responsibility or accountability in our pleasurable activities. So pleasure without conscience is one of the key temptations today with a lot of executives even. And third is knowledge without character. Education empowers a person and enables them to make logical decisions. And today's generation has failed to understand the importance of creating a character. The failure of education and lack of character are increasingly evident from the rise of crime and violence in our society today. And the knowledge and expertise gained by a person during his education should be used for the benefit of others and the society around them. And an educated person must have strong moral value too. And the fourth is commerce without morality. Ambition is another factor associated with social sins. Personal success becomes an excuse to, unfortunately, take horrific actions. And they have a large number of good examples of successful, but however, unethical business practices. And this is happening around the globe. And and it's increasing too. And Mahatma Gandhi always insisted to avoid corrupt practices and do commerce with more values and public ethics. So I'd like to end my speech here and thank you and take care and stay safe during this pandemic. And we'll see you in the next conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing your thoughts. It is heartening to know that young minds across the globe are inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, and they promise to be torchbearers of his teachings and take his legacy ahead. Thank you very much.
Yep, you bet.
Our next speaker in this session is Professor Ugur Erulkar from Turkey. He is an English professor at Turkey University and a follower of Gandhian ideology. On a testimonial on mkgandhi.org website, he said, and I quote, "I wanted to personally thank you for your efforts to share all these good quotes of Honorable Gandhiji and his deeds in our chat groups every single day with patience and care. I do want you to know that I'm sharing those quotes you send me every single day with my English candidate students via a WhatsApp group, and also share about you and my other friends in your good country. Every single day, I'm teaching them the facts about Bapu, his admirable character, and how he changed the hearts of people across the planet. May peace and God be with you. I now request the team to play the pre-recorded video of Professor Ugur Erulkar.
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for inviting me to such a special event. Also countries. The name Gandhi has an unparalleled meaning considering the values he nurtured in all mankind throughout all his humble life, as well as his affectionate endeavor that exceeds the borders of both continents and time. Gandhi was not a man of peace and harmony. He was made of peace and harmony. He did not lead an inspirational life. All his life was an inspiration for people who lost their beliefs for the unconditional good. When asked, one always describes Gandhi by his account with 3 words: ahimsa, which is the number 1, and which means the purification of one's very own soul through his innermost peace. Number 2, satyagraha, known as the Salt March, but the term itself is actually the non-violent operationalized derivative of ahimsa, to find the truth of life. The obstinacy in favor of non-violence, ahimsa and satyagraha could merely be possible. Gandhi was simply the practitioner of those values, which made him unique among his contemporaries. He was the literal supplier of those values for the nations that crave for peace and harmony. The life he led in ashram set a modest paradigm for an ideal with the entire world. He was an Indian national, yes, that's true, but further above his creed or nation, he was a complete goodwill ambassador for the nations that are in conflict with global peace. He knew that an ideal peace in the world could only be achieved through an unceasing belief for the very realization of harmony within nations. In contrast with other prominent leaders of other nations, instead of following the political doctrines, he diligently consecrated all his life to an ideal he calls ahimsa. His difference is embedded in his awareness of the fact that politics cannot maintain or at least sustain an everlasting. To teach one or improperly, nonviolence could prove to be more efficient than the state-of-the-art firearms that are devised by scientific geniuses. He was industrious in a struggle to overcome conflicts, introducing a countless number of solutions in an effort to resolve the issues within both nations and peoples of the world. He also set an example for heroic figures such as Canelo Bison Saraviva, John Lennon, and Martin Luther King Jr. Those people were not merely the successors, but also the followers of Gandhian values. Gandhi imbued those leading figures with his passion for harmony and peace, which could only be succeeded through a strong desire and motivation towards the tenet that one could change the world so long as he calls for it. In summary, India was or is a transnational pacemaker for other and peace-loving leaders of the country and to peoples of other levels, such as secondary and high school. To sum up, what I believe is that the more we know about Gandhi and the values he reactivated in humanity, the more aware we will become that peace is not just an ideal, but a realization of goodwill. I'm Erulkar from Turkey. I appreciate your precious attention. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
On behalf of the team, I thank Professor Ugur Erulkar for sharing his recorded video with us. I would now take your leave and hand over the moderation to my colleague, Dr. Vaishnavi Kirad, who will take it ahead from here. Over to you, Vaishnavi.
Namaste. Thank you, Snehal. Moving towards our next speaker, I would like to introduce Mr. Nyanishwaryawad Karsar. He's also known as Nyanishwaryawad Karsar. He's a peace mission activist who started his journey from Gandhi Sevagram. He embarked on a 3-year pedaling for peace cycling expedition to spread Mahatma Gandhi's teaching all over the world. He traveled over more than 8 months through the Indo-China border and Southeast Asian nations. I request our technical team, Sir will be coming live with us first, and then we will be playing a pre-recorded video of the same. Thank you.
अभी मेरी इस यात्रा में मैंने 2 साल पूरे किए और अभी 2 साल की है।
India, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand,
Malaysia, Singapore,
Indonesia, Bali, China,
Japan,
and then now here. Yeah.
भाषाओं को एकदम से ऐसे सिखाया जाए।
I'm a vegetarian.
तो मुझे वो सामने आया कि मनुष्य जो है लाखों साल पहले उनकी टोलियों में झगड़ता था, वो पत्थर यूज करता था। आज भी वही हम टोलियों में झगड़ रहे हैं, बस पत्थर की जगह हमारे
Sir, we would like to request you to share our thoughts for today's session.
Thank you so much for everyone. Good morning. I'm Nyan. Actually, now I am in USA, and I'm very happy Jaihind conference invite me for this beautiful session, and I'm very happy to see everyone for all around the world people join this beautiful conference. You guys saw my video, and this is my journey. I'm traveling. I'm started India from 2016, and from India from Costa Rica. Like few months ago, I was in Costa Rica, and my bicycle got stolen. So I back from here, and all Latin American borders are closed. So it's very difficult to go again. So I, as a young person, I'm almost 30 years old now. But when I was started my journey as a 26-year-old. So the new generation and as a new youth, I think so many people talk about Mahatma Gandhi is relevant in nowadays. And I feel like I am the young person and I believe these ideas, and that's the great ideas for this if we want to be saved the humanity, that's the great ideas can be help for all this humanity on nature and all this sustainability. So I'm the young person, and I'm very happy that I carry this idea. And I'm going around, and this very inspiring for me. When I was in India, I was in I born in very small town, and my study and all my career. Then when 2017 to 2010, I walk around India 2 years, and by walk like 8,000 miles, like around 11,000 kilometers, and I understand the problems, how people are facing difficulties. I understand the political situation, so many experience about, and this changed my life. And I started reading and understanding, and I found the interesting books about the Mahatma Gandhi, and I realized this can be way to be save the humanity. and they develop the non-violence values. So I I decided to start work. So I'm started in India, so many works, traveling around northeastern parts, Kashmir, and there is so many conflict in some different areas. So I'm started work with the young Sarvodaya. We started Sarvodaya Yuva Vahini and we started work. And in 2016, I decided, what is my contribution for the, it's a 2019 will be 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. I am the young person, so what is my responsibility to the contribute this world? So I decided I want to travel around the world, and that time I decided and struggling for organizing things, so meeting people, and I realized a lot of difficulties. No have money to be manage all these things. How will be traveling around the world, no contacts and everything. So I struggle 1 years, and I feel like but my inspiration and my values push me to be do that thing to be I have to do, and I decide to travel, and I get my bicycle and I started my journey from India. Then all the way India, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Bali, Taiwan, China, Japan, Korea, then United States, Cuba, Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. And few months ago, my bicycle got stolen, so I'm back in the US, and all the borders closed. I complete 49,000 kilometer last 4 years, and I was in Mexico. I got kidnapped 15 days. The mafia, the drugs dealer, they I was in the forest area and I was sleeping on the forest area. And night time they took me from there, kidnapped me with all this thing. But I spent time 15 days, and I realized how to be. I start cooking Indian food for them, and they are very happy. And after 15 days, we talk, sharing lot of stuff. And then after they release me, and then last time they tell, we are all the people who thinking about us as a bad people, but we meet the person our life who treat us like as a human being. Everybody's scared from us. They have a lot of dread. We are the bad people, and we are the bad people. We kill a lot of people, and we're doing a lot of stuff, bad stuff. But you treat us like as a human being. That's why we we want to be. You go your journey, and they help me for, they want to give something, and I say no, I can't take this money because this money coming from wrong way. And they say no, we are working hard and we want to be share with you. And I'm very happy that I have a lot of experience, almost 4 years, and this inspiration. I visit more than 1,200 school and more than 200 universities, and giving the lecture about Mahatma Gandhi, environment, peace, non-violence, and so many. Even the US, I traveling all the US and meeting people. Sometimes three days, no have food, no have place, so much rain, so much storm, so many difficulties. Uh, but I'm still alive and still working in this moment. And this, I'm very happy doing this work, meeting young people. And this is my small contribution. It's what we need to be do for, society have a lot of problems, and everybody trying to be, so our responsibility to start something from our neighbors, start something from ourselves, start something from our society is the biggest contribution. I don't think you have to be do some big ideas, but start it from the something small, and that will be big change. I I connect with a lot of people more than every day, and I'm very happy for that. I'm very happy for that, to be knowing the people, meeting the new people. And I realize every country in the world where I travel, any small children, when you ask about Mahatma Gandhi, everybody knows. There is so many educational activities about Mahatma Gandhi is going on Japan and Korea, and I'm very lucky to see that. So many in Mexico and so many in Latin America. There is a lot of violence and gangs groups where I used to in El Salvador, and last visit my El Salvador when I was in cycling. Very the few countries are very dangerous parts, and so many gangs and so many. So there I have chance to meet the visit the gangs area. The calling Soyapango is a very biggest gangster area, and I visit there. I talk with their children. I talk with them. You want to be see your children same future. I talk with so many great things, and I saw the lot of change. There is a one guy who still working for to the changing, and I'm very happy that I'm that happy for the young people who have feeling to change. You know, there is a thousands of miles from India, the Gandhi, who inspiring the all around the young people all around the world, and especially young people. And I am the young, and I think Gandhi is relevant, and I'm very inspiring for that. And it's I am giving from 4 years of my life, and I don't know how many years going to be this. And I'm really enjoying struggle a lot. Even I don't have money for to travel this, but it's very difficult. So many situation, no food, no anything, and I lose already 8 kilograms, but I'm still here and still doing that activities. I lose my bicycle, I lose my stuff, but I'm very happy to be doing this job. And sometimes so many difficulties for the visa, so many visas are refused, so many things, asking so many stuff, but I'm still here and happy to doing, see the smiles on the people and doing work. It's not just traveling to be meeting governments and government paper. Every countries I went and giving letter to the all prime minister and president in every countries and asking them. It's not just for the celebrating of Mahatma Gandhi birthday, but we can reduce our arms budget. And every countries can be decide, and if they really want to be celebrate the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, they can be reduce their 10% budget, arms budget, and this budget can they use for their problems for education, poverty, and healthcare, and all these things. So I'm giving them letters and asking them to be please, and meeting the some NGOs and asking them helping, and requesting them, visiting universities and talking with the young people. And I'm very happy to doing this job, and I feel very lucky. So I take this responsibility to share the Gandhi's ideas. And thank you so much for inviting me this beautiful conference to share my beautiful message. I don't know how long this will be going, the journey, but I'm still here to continue my journey. And now I bicycle, no have bicycle, but I can be decide to walking around the world, but still going to sharing this message. And this is a great tribute about Mahatma Gandhi from my way. Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, sir, for your so inspirational words and sharing your beautiful journey with us. Now, moving towards our next speaker, we are fortunate to have our next speaker, Mr. Jeremy Klim, a youth icon from USA, graduate from Wayne State University, Detroit, USA. Sir will be going live with us today, so I request our technical team to get sir on the screen. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for that intro. And wow, have we heard from some very excellent and distinguished speakers today. It's quite the acts to follow. My name is Jeremy Kelm, and I am currently a graduate student at Wayne State University, located in the USA. I would like to begin by first thanking Jaihind People's Movement, especially Dr. Tambe and conference coordinator, Dr. Gandhi, for inviting me to this global conference and giving me the opportunity to speak about the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century. I recently became a Jaihind Global Movement's member, and I support their initiatives for global peace, harmony, and social progress. My colleague, Michael Crowley, a few speakers previous, already discussed the first 4 social sins that Mahatma Gandhi put forward. Here, I'm going to discuss the remaining 3, and those are going to be science without humanity, spirituality without principles, and lastly, politics without principles. So we'll begin with science without humanity. There is absolutely no denying that science has improved the human condition. With science, we have found treatments and vaccines for conditions that historically have devastated populations and toppled economies. Science has similarly allowed for the creation of a more robust and nutritious food supply, which requires fewer farmers, even if the distribution of access to this food has at times been inequitable. However, history has provided repeated examples whereby the advancement of science was prioritized over the welfare of humanity. For example, an abundance of economic resources are prioritized to military defense spending, as many of our other speakers have discussed today. And the development of weapons for whose only purpose is to take human lives. To be certain, this spending does not translate to greater peace or reduced human suffering. Advancement of military science is a way by which one country gains disproportionate influence and access to resources globally, and therefore places greater value on citizens of one country over another. Reducing military spending, as the last speaker discussed, by just even a fraction in countries such as the USA, China, or Russia would be sufficient to end world hunger, even if just one of them made a marginal decrease in their military spending, it would be sufficient. Beyond violence and devaluing human life, the advancement of science without concern for humanity can create an array of socioeconomic issues. With expanding use of automation and artificial intelligence technologies, employment opportunities are lost, particularly among those of lower socioeconomic classes. And these jobs that have been replaced by these technologies are predominantly from those of lower socioeconomic status. As a society, we must ensure that the economic benefits yielded by these new technologies are felt by all members of society, not strictly the upper class. To mitigate the economic stratification that is natural to our evolving global economy, we must take steps to ensure that no one is left behind. Considerations should be made for policies that promote education and training for alternative career paths better aligned with the current economic need and or the provision of a universal basic income for all citizens. I would like to now turn to a modern example whereby the human race still has a chance to prioritize humanity while simultaneously advancing science. The development of a safe and effective vaccine for COVID-19 has the potential to significantly improve the human condition and prevent global economic turmoil. A theoretical concern exists, however, whereby the country that obtains the first viable vaccine may prioritize its distribution not in accordance with humanitarianism, but rather restricting its access as a bargaining chip on the worldwide stage. As a human race, we are all in this together, and I would like to see that access to a vaccine is not impeded by nationalism. Spirituality without principles. Although Gandhi talked exclusively about religion. In this case, the principle can be applied to any type of spiritual belief, religious or not. When you profess a belief, you should be prepared to turn what's into your mind, in your heart, into action. Religion without sacrifice is a social sin because beliefs without action lose most of their value. In the name of their god or gods, humans have spawned and justified more hate and violence than any governmental body. Most religions emphasize spirituality, love, compassion, understanding, and appreciation for one another. So we see a disconnect here between what religion professes and what its existence actually manifests as. Third, politics without principles. Politics are the only method by which society has to peacefully engage in social discourse. And without proper social discourse, violence can quickly erupt in society. Globally, we as a society are witnessing a great deal of politics without principle. Politics has unfortunately become a way by which we are divided, rather than functioning as a pressure relief valve for society. However, the current state of politics is no excuse to not participate in politics. If the system in its current state is maintained, it's because of our own action or inaction individually and collectively. We're all involved in politics either actively or passively. The question is whether our participation contributes to strengthening values in politics or not. Thank you, and please show compassion for others and be well. And again, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your going live with us. Together for now, we move on to our next speaker, Sanket Munot sir, a Gandhian ideology follower, a writer, a public speaker, television panelist, and a social worker. I would like to welcome Mr. Sanket Munot sir. We open the stage for your comments and remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. My voice is audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
It is a great session I am hearing, and I will talk in Marathi. Yeah. तर गांधी विचार आजही अनुकरणीय आहेत. तर ते कसं आहे, तर आज आता आपण लॉकडाऊन मध्ये बघतोय जे काही होतंय, तर गांधीजींनी ते त्या काळातच सांगितलेलं होतं की गांधींच्या काळात सुद्धा महामारी आली होती आणि महामारी आली त्यावेळेस गांधीजी म्हणाले होते की याला काही म्हणजे उपाय असेल तर तो आपल्या स्वतःवर नियंत्रण ठेवणे, स्वावलंबन आणि इतर काही गोष्टी. तर त्या आज सगळे लोक तेच फॉलो करतात. पण आपल्याला असं या देशात शिकवलं जातं की गांधी म्हणजे मजबुरी का नाम वगैरे वगैरे. गांधीजी हे मजबुरी का नाम नाही, ते मजबूती का नाम आहे. हे आपण लक्षात घेतलं पाहिजे. मजबूती का नाम कसं आहे, तर आज जगभर गांधी विचारांना फॉलो करणारे लोक तयार झालेले आहेत. आता आपण वेगवेगळ्या लोकांनाही ऐकलं तर तेच ठिकठिकाणी घडत आहे. आणि आपल्या इथे म्हणजे हा देश हा जो एकत्र राहिला आहे तो केवळ गांधीजीमुळे एकत्र राहिला आहे. विन्स्टन चर्चिल त्यांनी म्हटलं होतं की भारताला आम्ही स्वातंत्र्य देऊ शकत नाही, कारण जर स्वातंत्र्य दिलं तर याच्यात एवढे लोक आहेत आणि एवढ्या जाती धर्म आहेत की काही क्षणात त्याचे 500 तुकडे होतील, असं तो बोलला होता. आणि होते याच्यात 565 संस्थानं होती. तर गांधीजींनी काय केलं होतं, तर ही 565 संस्थानांमध्ये सगळीकडे त्यांनी आपले लोक म्हणजे लोकांना निर्भय बनवलं होतं.
I think we are in between some technical issues. Now we'll move towards our next speaker. We have a pre-recorded video from a student from New Jersey, USA, Gargi Gate.
Sorry, तर आजही गांधीचे विचार त्याच्यामुळे रिलेव्हंट आहे. आम्ही नोईंग गांधी ग्लोबल फ्रेंड्स यातर्फे गैरसमज पसरवले आहेत त्याच्या विरुद्ध सत्यासहित प्रचार करण्याचा प्रयत्न करतो. आणि we have, my one friend was there, Professor Ugur Erulkar, who also such many friends are there. So Gandhi is relevant now also. So his you take any principle like his management. Gandhi's management was very inspiring. Then keeping an open mind. He was thinking everything with open mind. He was changing day by previous life. He was doing something wrong, like he did stole gold also. But when he grew up, he accepted many principles, health and fitness. What is their misunderstanding that some people think Gandhi was not healthy or not maintaining health, but Gandhiji was maintaining health very well. Daily 1 hour he was doing exercise, and about he was also doing labor work also. He was inspiring. Thanks for giving me time. Thank you.
Now we move on to our next speaker, Rashmi Gade. We are having a pre-recorded video of hers. Thank you. Due to some technical issues, we couldn't be connecting with Rashmi right now. So we'll be playing our next pre-recorded video of Gargi Gede, who is a student from New Jersey, USA. Thank you. I request the technical team to play the video for Gargi Gede.
King had led a march on the March on Washington. A lot of people from all races came to Washington, D.C. The March on Washington led to the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Then King got the Nobel Peace Prize. Even though he lived up to the age 31, he still had a good life. A life where people recognized him. A life where he brought equality to the world. A life where he changed the world. Those are all the troubles and changes King had gone through and why he inspired me to live accordingly to his dream.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you so much for your lovely words. Now moving on towards our next speaker, we are having a pre-recorded video of hers. She's a student from New Jersey, USA. I welcome Gargi Gede. I request the technical team to please play her video. Thank you.
Hi all. Namaste Jaihind People's Movement Global Conference Team. माझं नाव रश्मी राजेंद्र गाडे. मी 11वीला आहे. मी New Jersey, USA मधून बोलते. Thank you, Dr. Tambe Saheb, for inviting me to this global conference and giving me opportunity to talk about Mahatma Gandhi on October 2nd, 2020, which is Gandhi Jayanti. Today, I'm going to talk about Mahatma Gandhi's guidance to students like me. Be the change you want to see in the world. You can never force your teachings on others unless you follow what you preach. Gandhi led by example. He was the change that he wanted to see in others. He was calm, never got angry, and was almost always the first to forgive. He never lied, and nonviolence was his weapon. When he spoke, people heard him because they knew he followed what he preached. Perseverance. Perseverance is another trait young struggle with. Gandhi was absolutely resolute in his decisions and actions. He never gave up unless he achieved what he had set out to do. Young people sometimes suffer because of their wavering interests and lack of determination. During India's freedom movement, Gandhi's Satyagraha proved how perseverance and hard work can give excellent results. Gandhi taught us that if you are unable to achieve success in a short amount of time, do not get distracted by other options or avenues. Stay focused, and not giving up is the key. The mind is stronger than the body. Youngsters need to realize that physical endurance is important, but mental strength is crucial. Gandhi was frail, but his mind was mightier. It was his mental strength that saw him through many problems and ultimately got independence for India. The Britishers bowed down to his mental strength and left India. It is the mind that is needed to be super strong. While honesty and truthfulness were universally accepted winning traits even before Gandhi existed, it was Gandhi who lived and showed how these principles can be abided in everyday life. He serves as an inspiring example for us to learn and emerge stronger and achieve success. Dhanyawad. See you in the next conference. Puna Betuya.
Thank you, Gargi. You indeed have a very beautiful voice. Now moving towards our next student. She's Floria Nehe. She's from New Jersey, America. Her native place being Sangamner. I request the technical team to please play her video. Thank you.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम.
Hello, my name is Floria Nehe. I'm 12 years old and I live in New Jersey, America. My native place is Sangamner. Today I wanted to speak to you upon the influences of an important historical figure, Mahatma Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, born on October 2nd, 1869, was an Indian lawyer who employed nonviolent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence from British rule, and in turn inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. Gandhi led nationwide campaigns for easing poverty, expanding women's rights, building religious and ethnic unity, ending untouchability, and above all, achieving self-rule. During his early life at the age of 24, Gandhi moved to Africa as an attorney in law, and it was there he started nonviolent resistance in a camp for civil rights. He set about organizing peasants, farmers, and urban laborers to protest against excessive land tax and discrimination. However, the main event in his life, which triggered his stand against nonviolence and equal rights, was during his years of life in London. While on a train in London, Gandhi had been spotted in the first-class seats by a Londoner. He was then reported to the conductor to be kicked out and not having been able to have the seating rights in the first-class section. Indian. The man claimed that someone of that should be in the lower classes. Gandhi refused to move as he believed it unfair as it was. Thus, he was brutally shoved off the train at the upcoming main station. That night, he slept on the station floors, pondering about the unjust actions he was shown simply based on his race. He realized that fleeing to India would only be a sign of cowardice, and that in order to stand up for his people and country, he must rebel against these rules and create a change. Resulting in his newfound understanding and goal, Mahatma Gandhi began to fight for equality and played a pivotal role in the freedom struggle of India. His peaceful methods were the foundation of gaining independence from the British. During his struggle, he inspired people all over the world, including one of the United States' most famous civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King Jr. King learned about Gandhi and his peaceful methods through his writing and a trip to India in 1959 and began to take up his practice of nonviolence. Martin Luther King Jr. was born to Alberta and Martin Luther King Sr. on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was a Black American activist who continued Gandhi's peace through the civil rights movement. King fought for the end of racial discrimination between Blacks and whites, commonly known as segregation. Color determined whether one could have proper education, proper facilities, proper values, and customs. Martin Luther King and his movement were respected for achieving their political goals without violence and for fighting for unity between Blacks and whites. The effect of King's actions are the modern-day world. African Americans gained the right to vote, schools became desegregated, discrimination was outlawed in many areas. However, the fight still had to be continued in order to bring full rights to Blacks, and King stood as hope for that. His most famous speech, "I Have a Dream," was based on his beliefs of people to be judged on the content of their heart and not the color of their skin. He dreamed we would follow the ideas that everyone was created equal, that skin color would not be a label, that each person would be seen first in their real self, not as a color. I want to thank Jaihind People's Movement for giving me this opportunity to speak about two brilliant legends, Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi. Jaihind.
Thank you, Floria. Thank you so very much. Now we have a pre-recorded video of another speaker, Praise Gidi. She is an African-American student from Colonia, New Jersey, USA. I request our technical team to please play her video.
Hi all, Namaste Jaihind People's Movement Global Conference team. This is Praise Jagidi and I'm in 11th grade from New Jersey, USA. Thank you for inviting me to this global conference and giving me the opportunity to talk about world's most important topic, coming together for peace, harmony, and progress on October 2nd, 2020, birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Today I'm going to talk about Mahatma Gandhi and what students can learn from it. Sachimi Jayate, truth always triumphs. Of all things, truthfulness was the most important for Gandhi. He not only preached the truth, but also practiced it. When Gandhi was young, he once lied to his father and regretted the decision. He felt guilty for concealing the truth. Later, when he apologized and confessed the truth, his father acknowledged his courage to speak the truth. By following this simple thought from Gandhi, you can see a huge difference in the way people perceive and treat you. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Today, we suffer from anger fits and other frailties. Is a cause for a number of social problems like bullying, abuse, road rage, leading to numerous crimes, which are followed by years of regret. We fail to realize that anger and hatred can never help achieve anything. Their outcomes have always been negative. Forgiveness is nobility. Forgiveness is a trait of the strong, not the weak. Gandhi always taught people to forgive those who commit wrong and speak harshly. Youngsters today are growing impatient, act loud, and harsh. Youngsters can learn how to start forgiving people who do wrong and misbehave with you. Eat simple food in the right quantity. Gandhi was a great proponent of simple food and discipline. He experimented with food to find out how eating in small quantities would give him enough energy. Today, a lot of problems that youth face are associated with not eating right or eating at odd hours. Or worse still, eating unhealthy food resulting in obesity pandemic all over the world, especially in prosperous nations. A simple but nutritious meal in the morning would give a good start to your day. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Thanks to our busy lifestyles, personal hygiene is often compromised. Gandhi maintained utmost cleanliness around him and inspired others too. By investing in hygiene, you not only save yourself from illness, but also a lot of energy and resources spent in recovering from it. Thank you and take care. See you in the next conference.
Thank you, Crazy Giri. You're right. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Now, with a heavy heart, I would like to announce that we have come to an end for today's program. On behalf of Jaihind People's Movement and my own behalf, extend a very hearty Vote of thanks to all the speakers for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. I would like to extend my thanks to our lovely viewers and participants and appreciate their patience throughout. Ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks and months ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of a very motivated and dedicated local as well as global technicians and experts. मी सर्व व्याख्याते, श्रोतागण, technicians आणि experts locally and globally यांचा मनापासून आभार मानते. Lastly, I would like to make a special mention of thanks to our very own Mr. Sudhirji Tambe, without whom this event wouldn't have been a success. Thank you, Dada, for all your support. Lastly, I would like to announce about our tomorrow's session, which will be at Indian time of 7 p.m. and USA time 9:30 a.m. We'll be starting with our third session. Subject would be healthy society and so on. Now, I request everybody to stand up for national anthem, and I declare that we have concluded today's session. Thank you. I request the technical team to please play the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे